Chapter 353. They chose him, so they must guide him to the end. This fellow's strength is incredible. He made it look so easy. How is that possible? Did Han Zhu release his grip because he subconsciously knew that his comrade was here? Yes, that must be it. The judge started comforting himself. Wang Ting didn't know what the judge was thinking. After passing Han Zhu to the medical personnel, he grabbed the long rod with one hand. Don't pull a stunt. How can you lift it with one hand? The judge reminded him speechlessly. Wang Ting didn't reply to him. Strength surged into his arm, and he lifted it up. Crack. An ear-piercing sound of friction rang out as the long rod got forcefully pulled out by him. He turned and said to the judge, "What did you say just now?" The judge. He started questioning the world. "Ha ha ha, you are very strong." The judge laughed awkwardly. The audience found this scene funny for some reason. I wonder what the judge is thinking now. Haha, this judge is funny. But Wang Ting seems really strong. I think so too. Could his ability? It's hard to say. I'm suddenly anticipating his future matches. The commentator said in surprise, Wang Ting's strength is powerful. I thought that after Han Zhu lost, Huang Hai had no more chances. But, it looks like they still have Wang Ting. I have high hopes for Wang Ting now, the other commentator, Su Xiao, laughed and said. Because of their appreciative words, the audience's attention towards Wang Ting increased. Those that didn't care about him started commenting too. In the arena, Zhao Yuanwu's gaze flickered a little as he sized up Wang Ting seriously. He had personally experienced Han Zhu's power. Wang Ting was able to pry his fingers easily and move the rod. This meant that his ability wasn't lower than Han Zhu's. He might even be stronger. At this moment, he started to consider Wang Ting on equal footing. Their gazes collided in midair momentarily, but they didn't say anything. Wang Ting held Han Zhu's long rod and walked down. Pick, pick. He swept the arena with his spiritual power and picked up the various attribute bubbles. Earth Force *70 Fire Force *86 Flaming Blade Presence *35 Flaming Blade Presence. Another presence attribute. There were indeed many talents in the national #1 martial arts competition. A typical martial warrior wouldn't be able to enlighten his presence easily, yet many participants here had achieved it. Wang Ting already possessed a 9th level blade presence, so when the presence attribute merged into his body, he had a deeper understanding of his blade presence. By the time he walked down the arena, he understood everything. No one noticed the fiery red glow flashing past his eyes. There seemed to be flames burning in them. On the other side, Zhao Yuanwu, who was also walking down the arena, sensed something and turned to look at Wang Ting's back. He frowned and muttered to himself, that feeling just now. Was it an illusion? When the competition ended, everyone went back. At night, in the hotel, Peng Yuanshan gathered everyone. Wang Ting scanned the crowd. He noticed that many of his teammates were wounded. Wen Baiqiu and Han Zhu had suffered the most grievous injuries. They were still pale and looked frail. Injuries were inevitable during a martial warrior's battle. However, not many people fought fiercely and mercilessly like Zhao Yuanwu. Of course, this wasn't controllable. When two parties were on par in terms of ability, they would try their best to win, and in the process, serious injuries might occur. Peng Yuanshan noticed that everyone had arrived, so he opened his mouth and said, "Today, Huang Hai suffered a crushing defeat." Everyone lowered their heads in embarrassment. They came full of confidence. However, they weren't even halfway through the competition, but they had already had a sound beating. Wan Baiqiu. Peng Yuanshan suddenly called her name. Yes. Wan Baiqiu raised her head. Her face was white. "Do you know your mistake?" Peng Yuanshan asked. "I'm not strong enough. I shouldn't have persevered. It angered my opponent," Wan Baiqiu said. "You're wrong." Peng Yuanshan shook his head. "Your mistake is you didn't recognize the difference between your opponent and you. If it's a war and you meet an enemy who's much stronger than you should run immediately. Even if you were given an explicit order and had to fight, you should think of other methods and not collide head-on, making unnecessary sacrifices. That is useless." Wn Bakey's face turned paler. She went into deep thought. Think about it properly. Peng Yuanshan didn't continue. He told everyone to recuperate properly before waving his hand and asking them to leave. However, he kept Wang Teng back. In the room, Peng Yuanshan and the other 5 heads stared at Wang Teng intently. In a competition, victory and defeat were common. This was what Peng Yuanshan had said earlier in the day. But if there was a choice, who wanted to lose? Now, all of them placed their hopes on Wang Teng. Heads, please don't look at me like this. I'm not gay, Wang Teng suddenly said. Peng Yuanshan. Tong Hu. Su Jing. What do you mean by you're not gay? What do you think we want to do? Peng Yuanshan and the others had a breakdown, feeling tired in their hearts. Why did they have such an abnormal student in their university? Suddenly, they remembered that they were the ones who had spent much effort to get him into their school. So this was the consequence of their doings? Since they chose him, they must guide him until the end. After a moment of silence, Peng Yuanshan gathered his shattered mentality and pieced them back together. Then, he said, how confident are you in this competition? Do you mean the ranking? Wang Ting touched his chin and asked. Oh, what do you have to say? Peng Yuanshan asked with interest. He thought that Wang Ting would give an ambiguous answer. He didn't expect him to ask this question. Tong Hu and the others looked at Wang Ting curiously too. 100% for 3rd place. 90% confident of getting 2nd. As for the championship, probably 80%, Wang Teng replied confidently. Tong Hu and the others were speechless. This fellow sure knew how to boast. He spoke about the top 3 rankings so casually, and the confidence was frighteningly high. He was even 80% certain on getting the championship title. Are you sure you're not playing with us? Are you sure? Even Peng Yuanshan didn't believe him. He rubbed his forehead and asked in a tired tone. He realized that speaking to Wang Ting was quite exhausting. This fellow never followed the script. Actually, I was afraid of scaring you all, so I didn't say that I'm 100% confident on getting 1st place. Wang Ting chuckled humbly when he noticed the heads and the president getting stunned by his words. Chapter 354 Senior, I Will Be Gentle. In the room, Peng Yuanshan turned silent while Tong Hu and the other heads glanced at one another. They had already asked Wang Teng to leave. Do you believe what that brat said? Peng Yuanshan sighed and asked. He doesn't have a reason to lie to us, Tong Hu frowned as he replied. It will be great if it's true, Su Jing said. The principal might be clearer on this, but she will only come during the finals. Peng Yuanshan shook his head. Never mind, having some hope is not bad. It looks like our Huanghai isn't defeated yet. Wang Teng returned to his room and sat cross-legged on his bed. He didn't care what Peng Yuanshan and the heads were thinking. His gaze shone as he recalled his gains after participating in the national #1 martial arts competition. He was deep in thought. Upon recalling the move Maro Na made today, he felt particularly enlightened. Maro Na had merged the 2 wind presences and turned them into a tornado. It was a powerful move. Her method had inspired him. He had many presences now, including 2 conscious. Maybe he could try and merge them together. If I can merge them, the result might be formidable. For instance, if I merge wind presence and flaming sword presence, I might get a flaming sword tornado. Wang Teng was excited. He started deducing in his heart. The knowledge he received from Maro Na's wind presence in the morning floated into his mind. It allowed him to gain some understanding of the merging method. First, Wang Teng decided to merge his presences. If he succeeded, he would move on to merging his conscious. The more powerful it was, the harder it was to merge them. That was mostly the case. He played out the process in his heart and felt that it wasn't too difficult. Hence, he stood up and went to the training room. A benefit of this hotel was its well-equipped facilities. The walls and floor of the training room were enhanced with runes. Besides providing a higher resistance towards damage and impact, it was also soundproof. Of course, the construction cost wasn't cheap. Most hotels didn't have the capital to do this. Wang Ting stood in the training room. To start out, He added a layer of earth force to protect his hands. Then, he gathered wind presence in one hand and slowly twirled it. As for the other hand, he stuck out 2 fingers. Sword aura intertwined around his fingers. Then, the 2 forces gradually got closer. Bang! A small eruption occurred in the training room. At the instant the forces made contact, they exploded. Wang Ting's expression froze. To hell with not too difficult. He didn't even do anything, yet they exploded at a single touch. Fail. What a tight slap in his face. Furthermore, no one slapped him. He slapped his own face. How painful. Fortunately, he was cautious and protected his hands with earth force. In addition, he didn't use much force when he attempted to merge the 2. The power was limited, so he didn't hurt himself. Wang Tung furrowed his brows. He contemplated his actions and realized something. He was combining 2 different types of presence while Maro Na had merged 2 wind presences. There was a huge difference in their methods. If he followed Maro Na's method to a T, it would be a miracle if he succeeded. There was a strong repulsion between the 2 different forces. They might start fighting with each other if they were in the same area, much less trying to combine them. Wait, in the same area. Wang Tung suddenly thought of something. There were multiple forces in his force nucleus. However, they were in harmony with one another with the help of the system. Wang Tung closed his eyes and calmed down his heart. He started feeling his force nucleus. His eyes remained closed for half an hour. Half an hour later, when he slowly opened his shut eyes, there was a confident glint in them. He was extremely confident for his next try. Once again, he gathered 2 presences on each of his hands, 1 wind and 1 fire, and pushed them together slowly. His eyes were shining. He would definitely succeed this time. Bang! Explosion. Why did it explode again? Why? He had already understood the crux of the problem. He then found a way to let them live in harmony. Why did they still explode? Wang Teng was puzzled. This was another slap in his face. He felt his cheeks getting swollen. I don't believe that I can't do it, he vowed to himself. He gathered his wind and fire presence and made another attempt. Bang! 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 3 hours later, Wang Teng laid on the floor with his arms and legs spread out. He felt like killing himself. This is too difficult. Why is it so difficult? He couldn't find the reason at all. Wasn't he a genius in martial arts? His confidence had taken a severe hit. He felt so inferior that he was starting to question his life. After a few seconds, he crawled up stubbornly. He would never admit defeat. Then, bang! Bang! The entire night, explosions kept occurring in Wang Teng's training room. It only stopped past midnight. The following day, everyone gathered in the restaurant for breakfast. Why are your dark eye circles so obvious? Han Zhu suddenly asked. Before Du Yu could open his mouth, the students from Donghai University walked past them. Someone asked the same question. Yunfan, why are your dark eye circles so obvious? The person beside Xiao Yunfan asked. Don't ask. Some idiot was playing with explosives in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep properly, Xiao Yunfan said furiously. Wang Teng, degree C degree 111, __ you too? Han Zhu and the others looked at Du Yu strangely. Du Yu nodded in frustration. That's so inconsiderate. Is he one of our competitors? Is he trying to use this method to affect your condition? The Donghai University student asked. Who knows? He better hope that I don't find out who he is. If not, I'll hit him until his parents can't recognize him, Xiao Yunfan replied before walking away. Wang Teng, smiley face. They finished breakfast and went to the Dragon's Den. The competition would start at 8 a.m. The name list for the morning matches flashed on the screen. Wang Teng vs Xiao Yunfan, ha ha ha. Wang Teng laughed immediately. What is this called? Do enemies always meet? The battle between an elder and a cute newbie? So far, the competition had been smooth sailing for Xiao Yunfan. He didn't meet any strong opponents and arrived at this stage without any obstacles. He even defeated a candidate from the first university. This made him extremely confident. Even though he knew that Wang Ting had defeated Maro Na, He still felt that he could win. Once they arrived in the arena, he smiled and said, "Junior Wang Ting, I didn't expect us to meet each other." "I didn't expect it either." Wang Ting smiled, feeling elated. "Don't worry. We are both from Donghai, so it'll be gentle." Xiao Yunfan waved his hands and said. In the audience stand, Xu Wantong glanced at Lin Chuhan. "Xiao Yunfan versus Wang Ting. Is this fate?" "I think that it's fatal attraction," Tian Xiaoxiao muttered. "Shut up." Lin Chuhan and Xu Wantong glared at her. "I wonder if Wang Ting is Xiao Yunfan's match?" Lin Chuhan was a little worried. In the arena, the judge announced the start of the match. Xiao Yunfan was very confident in himself. He said calmly, "Junior Wang Ting, you can make your move first." "I won't be polite then." Wang Ting smiled. He didn't stand on ceremony. After he finished speaking, he darted out and headed straight for Xiao Yunfan, hurling his fist at him. The audience started commenting on this scene. Wang Ting is too full of himself. Donghai University's Xiao Yunfan isn't weak. He won't stand there and wait for him to hit him. As expected, he lacks battle experience. Xiao Yunfan thought to himself with contempt as he looked at Wang Ting charging towards him. He raised his fists and punched Wang Ting. He said that he would show mercy, but in the actual fight, he didn't hold back at all. He exerted all his strength and wanted to finish Wang Ting with a single punch. A mocking smile appeared at the edge of his lips. Han Zhu was already defeated. If he defeated Wang Ting, he wouldn't have to worry about the other participants from Huanghai. It meant that Donghai University could turn the tides for the next 3 years. Bang! The next second, a terrifying explosion erupted when the two fists collided. Xiao Yunfan's expression froze. His fist seemed to have hit a towering mountain. Frightening force surged towards him, causing him to fly back. Fart! He was already vomiting blood in midair. Wang Ting moved and appeared above Xiao Yunfan. He gave him a sinister smile and said, "Senior, I'll be gentle." Xiao Yunfan was confused. This sentence is so vague. Do you have to sound so loving when you say it? Before he could complain, he saw it. He saw the golden brick smashing down on his face. It enlarged in front of his eyes. No. No. Xiao Yunfan screamed bitterly in his heart. Chapter 355. Normally, I'll take care of ladies after a round of beating. Xiao Yunfan laid in the arena, unconscious. His face was severely bruised and swollen, and his body was still twitching slightly. The surroundings were quiet. The audience was silent. The judge stared blankly at Xiao Yunfan and stood in silent tribute for 3 seconds. What a poor child. The other contestants from Donghai University had gathered below the arena. At first, they came to watch Wang Ting get beaten up, but the result was reversed. Xiao Yunfan, how unfortunate. He was the leading figure of Donghai University, yet he lost completely. Everyone found the result unreal. The script wasn't right. Shouldn't Wang Ting be defeated? Shouldn't Xiao Yunfan win? The students from Donghai University lost their voices, their eyes filled with bitterness. Donghai University still lost to Huanghai Military Academy in the end. In the audience stand, Xu Wantong and Tian Xiaoxiao were also silent. Honestly, this result was out of their expectations. Xiao Yunfan was a famous figure at Donghai University. Everyone had placed their hopes on him and thought that he would be able to squeeze into the top 10. However, he got beaten mercilessly by Wang Ting. Who was Wang Ting? He was a freshman, the top scholar for the martial arts exam in Donghai this year. He was renowned in Donghai. A model example of the counterattack of a bottom feeder. Ever since he became the top scholar, everyone felt that he should be highly talented in martial arts. But the thing was, he actually won in a duel between a freshman and a 4th-year martial arts student. Was this even possible? There was a 4-year gap between them. How talented did he have to be to leap over this gap? Shouldn't you be happy? Xu Wantong gave a bitter smile as she looked at Lin Chuhan. I should be, but Xiao Yunfan is our university's representative. I can't be happy after knowing my school got defeated. This is complicated. Lin Chuhan frowned and replied. That's right. I didn't even dare to cheer for little brother Wang Teng earlier. I was afraid they would call me a traitor, Tian Xiaoxiao said. Forget it. We have no control over this anyway. Let them fight among themselves. Xu Wantong waved her hands. After the match ended, the commentator's voice resounded in the stadium. This battle between Donghai University and Huanghai Military Academy has ended, in a surprise. Xiao Yunfan lost to Wang Teng, and Huanghai Military Academy has emerged as the winner. Their match was spectacular. However, the injury on Xiao Yunfan's face is a little serious. Someone, please take him down for treatment. The audience was caught between laughter and tears. The commentator couldn't bear to see his swollen face either. The leaders from Donghai University sitting on the second floor of the audience seat suddenly felt a tinge of regret. They should have snatched Wang Ting if they knew this was going to happen. Based on his current performance, it was worth paying any price to get him. Regret. As Wang Teng defeated more and more opponents, many people had started to take notice of him. Even more, these competitors weren't nobodies. They felt that he might not be here purely for the experience. Hanju might have lost, but Wang Teng could progress further. His attacks might be a little strange and indecent, but one couldn't deny his ability. Earth Force *58 Spirit *36 Enlightenment *48 Wang Ting picked up the attribute bubbles Xiao Yunfan had dropped before walking down the arena. He went to Huanghai's resting area and sat down quietly to continue his attribute picking business. His spiritual power spread around the venue, pulling all the huge and transparent bubbles as they rolled and bounced over. Water Force *35 Wood Force *66 Spirit *25 Enlightenment *20 Just as Wang Teng was focused on picking up attributes, a pair of long legs appeared in front of him. They looked a little familiar. He raised his head and followed the legs up. When he saw the person, he blinked and smiled involuntarily. Beautiful lady, what business do you have with me? Maro Na touched the back of her head and said expressionlessly, you're vicious. Not at all. Wang Teng laughed awkwardly. Maro Na looked at the irritating face in front of her and took a deep breath to calm herself. She said, I still have to thank you for not treating me like Xiao Yunfan. Of course. I normally take care of ladies, Wang Teng replied shamelessly. Maro Na took another deep breath before spilling out 2 words, get lost. Ha. Wang Teng smiled in embarrassment. Suddenly, he saw a scene appearing on the big screen. The second in rank from your school is fighting with Zhao Yuanwu. He came to speak up for you yesterday. I think he's your admirer. Second in rank. Maro Na wanted to leave, but she stopped in her tracks upon hearing this sentence. She turned and looked at the screen. Oh, it's Yu Dao. She felt speechless, her expression weird. Second in rank. She could imagine how infuriated Yu Dao would have been yesterday. It looks like he's not Zhao Yuanwu's match. Wang Teng's expression changed slightly as he looked at the match playing on the screen. Maro Na couldn't be bothered to scold Wang Teng anymore. She hurriedly looked at the arena, and her expression turned grave. Yu Dao is strong, but he still can't beat Zhao Yuanwu. It looks like he is hiding his ability. This is the first time the sects are joining this competition. Many candidates from the sects have performed well, and Zhao Yuanwu has stood out among them all. Usually, Wang Teng appeared as if he wasn't watching the matches, but he was aware of the overall situation. Since they entered the competition, it means they want to fight for resources. The members of the sects have to go on the battlefield too. It's understandable, Maro Na said. However, Zhao Yuanwu is too brutal. It's all right if he was on the battlefield, but this is an internal competition. Wang Teng didn't reply. He just watched Zhao Yuanwu and Yu Tao's match with interest. Boom. Continuous explosions rang out in the arena. It was a fierce match. Yu Dao tried his best, but he couldn't defeat Zhao Yuanwu. A fiery red light flashed past the screen, almost blinding the viewers. It was glamorous. Yu Dao was thrown out by the blast. His chest had split open, revealing the white bones underneath. Fresh blood was spurting out of his mouth without a stop, and his face was as white as a ghost. He had lost. This is 9th level Flaming Blade Presence. Maro Na exclaimed with a grim expression. She wasn't the only one. Many people at the scene were looking at Zhao Yuanwu absent-mindedly. They were stunned by his blade attack. Why is Zhao Yuanwu so powerful? Even Yu Dao from the First University isn't his match. He's really strong. Only Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang might have a chance against him. Many people started comparing Zhao Yuanwu with Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang. They felt that he had a chance to fight for the top 3. Below the arena, Wang Teng's gaze flickered. A smile appeared at the edge of his lips as he looked at the gigantic attribute bubbles floating in the arena. Pick. Flaming Blade Presence *126 Fire Force *88 Good people. You're all good people. Chapter 356. What monster is this? Flaming Blade Presence *126 As the Flaming Blade Presence merged into his body, relevant knowledge surged into Wang Teng's mind. The streams of information collided and intertwined with each other, flashing through his mind like sharp blades. Then, he felt a qualitative change occur as a force more potent than Blade Presence was born. Flaming Blade Conscious. Wang Teng's Flaming Blade Conscious was completed. If Zhao Yuanwu knew that his Blade Presence had lent a helping hand to the birth of Wang Teng's Blade Conscious, he might die from anger. Maro Na, who was standing beside Wang Teng, suddenly sensed something. She turned her head and looked at Wang Teng. However, she only saw his calm expression. There was nothing amiss with him. That feeling earlier seemed to be her illusion. She felt puzzled in her heart, staring at Wang Teng's face for a long time. "Why are you looking at me? Am I too handsome?" Wang Teng asked. "There's a boogie in your eyes," Maro Na said expressionlessly. "Wang Teng." Maro Na disregarded Wang Teng and walked away arrogantly. Wang Teng shook his head and shifted his gaze back to the arena. He picked up the attribute bubbles Yu Dao had dropped. Wood Force *50 Spirit *8 Enlightenment *14 The morning matches soon ended. Everyone went back to the hotel for lunch and waited for the afternoon matches to start. In the afternoon, the competition continued. The list of matches was shown on the screen. Wang Teng vs Zhao Yuanwu. The moment this match was revealed, many people were astounded. Surprise flashed across their faces. Wang Teng met Zhao Yuanwu? There would be a good show to watch later. Many schools and factions were keeping an eye on Wang Teng. They felt that this was the furthest Wang Teng could go. Between him and Zhao Yuanwu, he would definitely lose. They didn't approve of Zhao Yuanwu's actions, but his performance had been eye-catching all along. He might even be on par with Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang. Also, no one knew if he had other hidden abilities or trump cards. The expressions of the students in the Huanghai resting area changed slightly. They looked at Wang Teng and opened their mouths. In the end, all they could say was, "Try your best. Don't worry." Wang Teng stood up with a gentle smile at the edge of his lips. He walked to the arena without showing any distress. Lin Chuhan felt worried for him. This is troublesome. Wang Teng actually encountered a ruthless fellow like Zhao Yuanwu. "I wonder if little brother Wang Teng can withstand him," Tian Xiaoxiao said. "I hope he won't be stubborn." "Zhao Yuanwu is a savage," Xu Wantong shook her head and said. None of the three ladies thought that Wang Teng would win this match. Based on Zhao Yuanwu's past performance, they knew that he was a mighty contender for the championship title. Ordinary martial warriors weren't his match at all. The two young men stood in the arena. Zhao Yuanwu looked at Wang Teng with contempt. "You still have time to admit defeat if you don't want to get beaten like your seniors. You seem very confident." Wang Teng looked at him calmly. Zhao Yuanwu frowned when he saw Wang Teng's composed manner. He shook his head and said, "Why do I have to act personally every time? People like you refuse to be convinced until you're faced with the grim reality." The judge beside them blew his whistle. "Start." Wang Teng and Zhao Yuanwu exchanged glances with each other. Then, they disappeared simultaneously. Boom. They cut across the sky like a pair of scissors cutting white silk before colliding together. The lingering shadows of fists and blades intertwined in the air and dazzled the spectators. The audience could only see faint shadows colliding and separating continuously in the arena, creating a thunderous echo. They are so powerful. The audience widened their eyes in surprise. This match was on a completely different level compared to the matches before. Wang Ting is on par with Zhao Yuanwu. They were flabbergasted, especially with the strength Wang Ting had displayed. He was a worthy rival of Zhao Yuanwu. He wasn't at any disadvantage at all. This was totally unexpected. General Bai's live steam room experienced a few seconds of silence before comments erupted like a volcano. Oh my god, what did I just see? Wang Ting is so powerful. Wang Ting never used his full strength before. He only showed it when he met Zhao Yuanwu. Exhilarating. Impressive. Amazing. Most people here were attracted by Wang Ting's brick because they found it interesting. But now, the stark contrast between his serious and interesting fighting styles enchanted them even more. From the initial interest, they had turned into his fans. On the second floor of the audience stand, Peng Yuanshan smiled. Good riddance. The other heads looked at each other with excitement in their eyes. Their understanding of Wang Ting's ability was refreshed time and again. This felt invigorating for some reason. Yang Kang, the president of the Martial Arts Academy of Jinlin University, was dumbstruck. He completely lost his cool. How was this possible? Was Wang Ting really a freshman? How could he be so strong? How did Huang Hai groom him? Yang Kang felt frustrated in his heart. He should have fought harder to get Wang Ting into their school. Well, it was hard not to regret now. Wang Ting used his bare fists to destroy all the flaming blade attacks Zhao Yuanwu threw at him. The 8-level devil scripture trained the physical body, making it indomitable. Even if Wang Ting did not have any weapons, Zhao Yuanwu wouldn't be able to hurt him. Despite looking like a normal human with an average body, he seemed tall and towering at this moment. He was like an ape that had gone berserk. He strode forward, suppressing Zhao Yuanwu's raging attacks. Everyone felt their blood boiling with excitement as they watched this scene. Zhao Yuanwu was infuriated. He had never received such treatment ever since the start of the competition. He was always the one who gave other people a thrashing. Yet, he was the one getting trashed now. By someone whom he had never taken to heart to boot. Move. There was no way he could stomach this humiliation. Zhao Yuanwu bellowed in rage, and a ferocious blade presence erupted from his body. He waved his blade and swung it at Wang Ting. The terrifying flaming blade presence swept through the arena. Roaring flames attempted to swallow Wang Ting and burn him to ashes. I was waiting for this move. A sinister smile appeared at the corner of Wang Ting's lips. At the same time, a battle blade appeared in his hand, and he swung it down. An equally formidable flaming blade presence exploded from the blade. It collided with Zhao Yuanwu's blade presence like a tsunami. Boom! The flames burst and soared into the sky. Two gigantic blade glows started corroding one another. In the end, Wang Ting's blade glow won and chopped Zhao Yuanwu's blade aura into two. How is this possible? Zhao Yuanwu widened his eyes in disbelief. In his stupor, he couldn't dodge in time and got hit by the blade attack. At that moment, he felt as if he was struck by lightning. He flew back abruptly and vomited a mouth of blood in midair. Zhao Yuanwu was defeated. The audience found this incredible. Wang Ting's blade presence is close to blade conscious. Some people saw through his attack, and the conclusion left them thunderstruck. Blade conscious was much more powerful than blade presence. It was harder to understand too. Yet, Wang Ting was close to enlightening his blade conscious. How old was he? What kind of a monster was he? Wang Ting had merely revealed a fraction of his ability, but it was enough to make everyone's jaws drop to the floor. They found it unbelievable. He was only a freshman, but he was a worthy opponent of a talent like Zhao Yuanwu. He even won against him, displaying incredible talent. Everyone was mind-blown. Chapter 357. What the F***K? This fellow snatched the weapon of the 8-arms devil general. Zhao Yuanwu was thrown off his feet by Wang Ting's attack and slammed to the ground. However, the powerful impact forced him to continue moving back. Zhao Yuanwu made a prompt decision and stabbed his battle blade on the floor. After taking 3 steps back, he finally managed to stop his retreat. Splurt. He vomited another mouthful of blood. Zhao Yuanwu's face was pale. He lowered his head and looked at the blade wound on his chest. This scene was extremely familiar. He had done the same thing when he attacked Han Zhu. Wang Ting was giving him a taste of his own medicine. Ha ha ha. Zhao Yuanwu started laughing in a low voice. This is getting more and more interesting. He raised his head suddenly and stared at Wang Ting opposite him. There was an evil red glint in his eyes. I underestimated you. Wang Ting squinted as he stared back at Zhao Yuanwu. This wasn't the tone of a loser. Did Zhao Yuanwu have other methods to turn the tides around? What trump cards do you have? Execute all of them. I'll let you lose wholeheartedly, Wang Ting replied calmly. Zhao Yuanwu sneered. I plan to leave this for Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang, but I guess I have to use it on you first. As he spoke, the red glow in his eyes got brighter, and the blood in his body started churning. His veins were squirming like little snakes. This is, Wang Ting frowned. Zhao Yuanwu seemed to be using a secret skill that allowed him to release his potential. Wang Ting had read about such secret skills before. All of them had severe repercussions. One might suffer a deficiency of qi and blood, as well as the exhaustion of force. On the serious side, their veins and muscles would rupture, and their potential could be impaired. This meant that their future in the martial arts world would be destroyed. But the greater the implications, the bigger the benefits. For instance, you could increase your strength multiple times. Boom, boom, boom. Many explosions came from Zhao Yuanwu's body. His muscles were growing at a visible speed. The wound in front of his chest appeared to have healed due to the squeezing of the muscles. The blood on his body evaporated because of the high heat, disappearing in an instant. The audience saw this scene clearly through the big screens. Many people gasped in shock. Especially ordinary people. They had never seen anything like this. Zhao Yuanwu had gotten weak after suffering Wang Ting's attack. How did he gather his strength in such a short time? His aura also seemed more powerful than before. It was unimaginable. The commentator's voice immediately resonated in the venue. He spoke in excitement. Zhao Yuanwu hasn't lost yet. He seems to have used some secret skill that makes him more powerful than before. Will he be able to turn defeat into victory? The sect leader of Chenyuan sect, Zhao Zhixing, said with a change of expression, Yuanwu is too impulsive. Even if he loses, there are still the revival rounds. There's no need to use our tyrant blood secret skill. You can't blame Yuanwu. Who thought that this Wang Ting possessed such a powerful ability? Who knew that he had been hiding his power all along? How can Yuanwu accept getting defeated by him? The third elder from Chenyuan sect replied. It's normal for a young man to be competitive. Yuanwu has never met any obstacles in his life. Once he suffers a defeat, he will definitely lose his cool, another old man chimed in. This was the second elder from Chenyuan sect. There are many talents from the universities. Besides Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang, Wang Ting is also eye-catching. Universities are the proper route now. Sects are outdated. Zhao Zhixing couldn't help but sigh. The second elder and the third elder glanced at each other. In the arena. Boom. A terrifying force spilled out of Zhao Yuanwu's body. Die. Zhao Yuanwu exploded in anger, his blood boiling as he charged towards Wang Ting. The entire arena seemed to be shaking under his heavy footsteps. He arrived in front of Wang Ting in a blink of an eye and chopped his blade down. Slash. Flames engulfed his blade, distorting the air around it because of its heat. Wang Ting blinked. He raised his blade to block the attack, but Zhao Yuanwu didn't let him go. The blade rained down on Wang Ting, again and again, forcing him to step back. Bang, bang, bang. Whenever the two blades collided, sparks flew everywhere. Wang Ting noticed a nick on his blade after multiple clashes. Cracks were starting to appear too. His blade was going to break. Zhao Yuanwu's attacks are too fierce and swift. We can only see his lingering shadows. Wang Ting seems to be on the losing end here. Are the tables going to turn? Zhong Jun's voice rang out at this moment. Wang Ting appears to be in a bad state, the other commentator, Su Xiao, continued. The moment her voice faded, a clear sound rang through the big screen. Crack. The next instant, the audience noticed that Zhao Yuanwu had forcefully broken Wang Ting's battle blade with his violent attacks. The blade shattered into pieces and scattered on the floor. Let me see how you're going to block me now. A hideous expression flashed across Zhao Yuanwu's face. He swung his blade right at Wang Ting's forehead. Many people closed their eyes involuntarily at this scene. Lin Chuhan's face turned pale. Wang Teng's win was almost certain, but then this accident happened. No one had expected this turn of events. Peng Yuanshan squinted as he stared intently at the arena. Everyone held their breath, feeling anxious for Wang Teng. Clang. At this moment, a dull sound resonated in the arena. It sounded like something hitting a solid and thick metal board. But this wasn't right. Zhao Yuanwu was stunned. He looked ahead of him. A gigantic pitch-black weapon had appeared in Wang Ting's hand at some point. Everyone regained their senses and quickly looked at the arena. Their gazes landed on the weapon unconsciously. What is that? Everyone stared at the strange weapon absent-mindedly, Zhao Yuanwu included. It looked like a blade and a sword, and it was humongous. They didn't know such a strange weapon even existed in this world. Too flamboyant. This is devil pattern black gold. The important figures at the scene were able to discern what material this weapon was made up of. This was a divine weapon made of devil pattern black gold. And a huge piece too. Some big shots started swallowing their saliva. Their eyes were glistening. F***K. What a waste of rare materials. This is a crime. This piece of devil pattern black gold was large enough to make multiple normal-sized weapons. However, it was only used to forge the weird-looking weapon in Wang Teng's hand. What a waste, what a waste. Why do I find that weapon a little familiar? The president of Jisin Martial House, Yi Jisin, muttered to himself. Have you forgotten about the war a year ago? That 8-arms devil General Zerz's weapon looks like this, Lei Zhenting said unconsciously. After he finished speaking, he realized what he had said. His eyes widened as he looked at Yi Jisin. F***K. This fellow snatched the weapon of the 8-arms devil general. Chapter 358. I've disliked you for some time. This was a rude shock for Yi Jisin and Lei Zhenting. The two of them stared at each other for a long time without moving. They were utterly dumbstruck. Who is this 8-arms devil general you're referring to? Mr. Ma couldn't help but ask when he heard their discussion. The two principals immediately regained their senses. Yi Jisin said, the 8-arms devil general, Zerz, is one of the general stage martial warriors from the 8-arms devil race. It was Mr. Ma's turn to drop his jaws. Thunder roared in his mind once he understood the 8-arms devil general's identity. He found it unbelievable. Wang Ting snatched a general stage martial warrior's weapon. Haha, this joke isn't funny at all. Mr. Ma laughed awkwardly. I think we're right. Old Yi, look. The words Mo Q are carved on the weapon. This is the name of Zerz's weapon. Lei Zhenting took a deep breath before he opened his mouth. Oh my god. Yi Jisin focused on the weapon from afar. General stage martial warriors had keen eyesight, so he was able to see the two words instantly. How did he snatch it? Mr. Ma asked in disbelief. Who knows? Yi Jisin shrugged. What a mysterious young brat. Lei Zhenting lamented. While they were discussing this matter, the atmosphere in the arena froze for a second. Then, Wang Ting opened his mouth. Continue chopping. Chop all you want. You won't have to compensate even if it breaks. Really, I'm not lying to you. Zhao Yuanwu. As he gazed at the weapon, a sense of helplessness surged into his heart. F***K. How was he supposed to chop that? The next moment, Zhao Yuanwu flew into a rage. He felt that Wang Ting was playing with him. His attacks bordered on mania. His secret skill had a time limit, so he must finish the battle as soon as possible. Bang, bang, bang. Wang Ting fought with Zhao Yuanwu with Mo Q in his hand. Explosions kept resounding whenever their weapons met. Very soon, Zhao Yuanwu realized that cracks were starting to appear on his battle blade. Every dog had its day. This time, it was his. Zhao Yuanwu's expression changed. He knew that he couldn't win with strength, so he retreated abruptly. He panted as he said, "You should be proud that you forced me to this state." Boom! A formidable blade aura swept across the arena, and flames covered the sky. A 10-foot-long flaming blade glow shot up into the air. Everyone looked at the sword glow with amazement. They were dumbfounded. Wang Teng remained calm, though. No one noticed the flames burning in the depth of his eyes. A flaming blade was getting restless in him. It was itching to get out of its sheath. On the other side, Zhao Yuanwu was enveloped in flames, looking like the son of fire. He stood there with a battle blade in one hand, majestic and arrogant. Big Dipper flaming blade. He waved his blade violently. The 10-foot blade glow descended from the sky like a dragon. Flames pummeled towards Wang Teng, attempting to swallow him. Wang Teng is in danger. This was what everyone was thinking. Lin Chuhan bit her lips tightly. Her hands had turned white because she was clenching them too tightly. Skyrank low-class battle technique. Peng Yuanshan jumped to his feet. He stood at the edge of the audience stand and looked down. One boom. At that moment, a terrifying force of presence erupted from Wang Teng's body. Fire rose from the ground and spiraled up into the sky. Clang. A fiery glow slowly revealed itself from the flames, like a blade leaving its sheath. The blade glow cut right through the horizon. The flames from Zhao Yuanwu's attack were attracted and merged into the blade glow, turning into fertilizer for the formation of the blade glow. If Zhao Yuanwu was the son of flames, Wang Teng was the king of fire. Everyone had to bow down to the king. Clang. A deafening sound of a long blade unsheathing shook the spectators. Blade conscious. Flaming blade conscious. Wang Teng no longer hid his ability. He released his flaming blade conscious. All of this happened within a few seconds. When Zhao Yuanwu's blade glow was inches away from his head, Wang Teng finally moved. In a split second, the growing blade conscious unraveled itself entirely and split the air into two. Zhao Yuanwu's blade glow was destroyed. Peace resumed. Silence. There was only silence. It felt as if the flames and blade glow had never appeared. Only the scars on the arena floor and the burnt patches proved that the scene they just saw wasn't a dream. The audience had turned dumb from astonishment. They couldn't recover their thoughts for a long time. Phew. Someone sighed, and the entire dragon's den finally woke up again. The clamor almost tore the place down. Incredible. Is this how frightening a real martial warrior can be? Is this attack done by a human? Ji Xiaoming had watched the entire match from the First University's resting area. At the start, he didn't care, but he slowly started paying more attention. Now, he was amazed. He couldn't help but sigh. Blade conscious. He had no choice but to take Wang Teng seriously now. Maro Na touched the back of her head as she exclaimed, "I didn't know he was so powerful. It looks like my defeat wasn't unjustified." Yu Tao's face was pale. He felt bitter in his heart. He wanted to teach Wang Teng a good lesson in the arena for Maro Na's sake. Now, he felt fortunate that he wasn't given a chance. If not, he would have died a terrible death. He lost to Zhao Yuanwu, and Zhao Yuanwu lost to Wang Teng. As Zhao Yuanwu's defeated opponent, he didn't have the right to teach Wang Teng a lesson. On the other side, Ren Qingcang watched the match without any expressions on his face. However, an eerie glint flashed past his eyes, and he snorted. Yi Jisin was baffled. It's astonishing how this young man could enlighten his blade conscious at such a young age. What a pity. I should have asked him to represent my Jisin martial house. Don't even think about it. He will definitely represent Huanghai Military Academy. Why would he choose you? Lei Zhenting mocked. Even so, He's still a part of my Jisin martial house. The SSS contract is proof of my foresight. I'm not as stingy as you. You didn't even want to give an SS-grade contract, Yi Jisin rebutted. Mr. Ma didn't know whether he should laugh or cry when he saw the two important figures bickering like two aunties in the market. Zhao Yuanwu stood in the arena, covered with wounds. His body was full of blade marks, and blood was oozing out of them. Splurt. He vomited a mouth of blood. He couldn't believe he had lost. In an instant, he turned berserk and shouted madly, "How is this possible? How could I lose to a clown like you? This is impossible." The long blade in his hand was already broken. He stumbled but was still unwilling to admit defeat. He dashed towards Wang Teng, waving his broken blade haphazardly. His expression was forlorn and bitter. You could tell that this was a massive blow to him. "Why do you have to do this?" Wang Teng placed his hands behind his back and shook his head. His eyes were filled with compassion. After Zhao Yuanwu came closer, he slowly pulled out his hand from behind his back. The shining golden brick in his hand dazzled everyone's eyes. "Stop!" A shout came from the audience stand. Wang Teng was slightly stunned. However, he still smashed the brick down without any hesitation. Bang! The brick slammed on the face. He had especially aimed at the face. Bang, bang, bang. After some time, Wang Ting stood up gradually and flicked his hair. He let out a long sigh. "I've disliked you for some time." Chapter 359, Model Youth. Dead silence. The audience stared at Zhao Yuanwu. They couldn't recognize his face anymore, so their expressions turned weird. That arrogant and unbridled Zhao Yuanwu was bruised and swollen at the moment. He looked like a pig's head. The before and after difference was too glaring. But for some reason, they felt refreshed. A majority of the audience was suppressing their laughter. They felt invigorated. WN Baichio and Maro Na even burst out laughing, not giving a hoot about Zhao Yuanwu's identity. "He deserves it. Only an evil person can deal with an evil person," Maro Na said amid her laughter. Yu Dao touched his face unconsciously. Once again, he felt fortunate that he didn't meet Wang Teng. He mustn't meet him in the future either. If he did, he would turn into a pig's head. The consequences were too frightening. Ji Xiuming felt his lips twitching. Suddenly, he didn't want to compete with Wang Teng anymore. Anyone that met him would turn into a pig's head. Even though he was confident in himself, he still felt his head turning numb. Scary. Show off. Ren Qingtsang pouted in contempt. However, his furrowed eyebrows exposed his true thoughts. That brick left an ineffable trauma in many people's minds. Even though they hadn't experienced it personally, they were still scared. They knew that it wouldn't feel good to get beaten like Zhao Yuanwu. Lin Chuhan heaved a long sigh of relief, and a tinge of red gradually appeared on her pale face. She could finally relax. She was really frightened when Zhao Yuanwu executed that 10-foot-long blade glow. Thinking that the match would end with Wang Ting getting heavily injured, she almost fainted from fright. However, another reversal happened, and Wang Ting still won in the end. This fellow sure likes to scare people. Lin Chuhan looked at the young man below a little angrily. Little brother Wang Ting is so strong. Even Zhao Yuanwu couldn't beat him, Tian Xiaoxiao said with an infatuated expression. Lin Chuhan. He likes to flirt and steal ladies' hearts too. Indeed, he's very powerful. Zhao Yuanwu is the representative of all the sects. Yet he still lost to Wang Teng. Xu Wantong sighed. Another round of rocket rain occurred in General Bai's live stream room, and numerous comments flashed past the screen. 666, superb. My mom asked me why I'm kneeling with my phone. I really want to bow to him. This is a real powerhouse. Zhao Yuanwu can only stand at the side. Amazing. I'm going crazy over Wang Ting, the brick maniac, the invincible presence. The brick maniac, the invincible presence. The brick maniac, the invincible presence. There was a ruckus in the live stream room. Many people had become Wang Ting's fans after that fight. They wished that they were at the competition venue so that they could experience the heated battle personally. In the arena, Wang Teng glanced at the audience stands. Someone had asked him to stop just now, and the voice came from that direction. A middle-aged man was standing on the edge of the audience stand on the second floor. He was glaring at Wang Teng. Wang Teng smiled at him, disregarding him completely. This was the national #1 martial arts competition. What could he do to him? Also, he had Huang Hai supporting him. Would the man dare to pester him? At the other end of the audience stand, Peng Yuanshan also stood at the edge and stared at the middle-aged man expressionlessly. His gaze was fixed on the other party. Although the man was indignant, he didn't dare to act. In the end, he snorted and flicked his sleeve before returning to his seat. After Wang Ting retracted his gaze, he scanned the attribute bubbles in the arena. There were many of them. He immediately picked them up. Fire Force *140 Advanced Stage Fire Talent *12 Big Dipper Flaming Blade *1 Enlightenment *36 Spirit *42. As the bubbles merged into Wang Ting's body, his eyes started shining like diamonds. Good stuff. That was a lot of fire force. He always hit his opponent until their faces were swollen. He didn't hit ladies as badly, but he smashed their heads too. Honestly, Wang Ting didn't want to do this. He wanted to be a model youth who was decent, righteous, honest, and normal. Hey, this Big Dipper Flaming Blade seems powerful. It was a Skyrank low-class battle technique. Not bad at all. A stick figure wielding a blade appeared in his mind. Flames circled around the figure, and the flaming blade glow slit through the air. It was formidable. In an instant, Wang Ting understood the technique. This was indeed a powerful blade battle technique. He lacked a fire element blade battle technique, so this skill filled up the gap perfectly. With his flaming blade conscious, the force of this move would increase multiple times. After picking up the attributes, Wang Ting felt refreshed. He glanced at Zhao Yuanwu amiably. He suddenly felt emotional. Zhao Yuanwu was his lucky star. He had helped him to enlighten his blade conscious and break through to the 7-star soldier level. While at it, he also gave him the Skyrank low-class battle technique. Was there a better person than him? Once the judge announced Wang Ting's victory, the medical personnel came up and carried Zhao Yuanwu on the stretcher. Thank you for your hard work. You must treat him properly. Wang Ting looked at the medical personnel sincerely. The medical personnel were confused. What was Wang Ting doing as his opponent? Was this the kindness of the winner? No. Suddenly, they understood his intention. He wanted them to treat Zhao Yuanwu so that he could beat him up again. He was a devil. Chapter 360, Top 16. When Wang Ting walked down the arena, he felt that the medical personnel were looking at him strangely. However, he didn't have the time to think about their gazes. The medical personnel carried Zhao Yuanwu away as if they were hiding from him. He didn't even see their eyes clearly, so he couldn't understand their real intention. Feeling a little confused, he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. It probably wasn't anything important. The competition in the afternoon ended quickly. However, many people were still talking about Wang Ting and Zhao Yuanwu's match with interest. I feel that their match isn't at the same level as other contestants' matches. Yes, they are so powerful. I heard their battle was a contest between 5-star soldier-level martial warriors. 5-star soldier-level martial warriors are able to form wings with their force. They can fly in the air. It's a pity we couldn't see it. Force wings. I've never seen them before. Martial warriors are so powerful. They can even fly. Sigh, in the past, I had a chance to become a martial warrior too. Stop boasting. Uncle, you're almost 50 years old. Stop dreaming. The crowd flooded out of the dragon's den, and their noise soared up the sky. Everyone was exhilarated. Some even turned red in anger as they engaged in a heated argument. The whole place was lively. Wang Ting and the other students returned to the hotel. Along the way, his teammates stared at him as though they were looking at a ghost. Enough, you have been ogling me for the entire journey. Haven't you seen enough? Wang Ting glared at them. He couldn't stand it anymore. No one would feel comfortable getting stared at like a monster. Cough. Han Zhu coughed awkwardly. He said, "Are you really a freshman? Or did you stay back for 3 years?" Wang Ting was speechless. Look at this, look at this. Is this something you should be asking? Stay back for 3 years. Was he so useless? If I had stayed back for 3 years, you would have recognized me, Wang Ting retorted. You're right. Han Zhu regained his senses, feeling that he had asked a stupid question. In that case, Calling you brat a monster is not an exaggeration. Even a humble man like Han Zhu was cursing out loud. One could tell how stunned he must be. Senior, if you slander me again, I'll pull you into the arena to fight with you, Wang Ting said indifferently. Winking smiley. One brick. A drop of sweat fell from Han Zhu's forehead. He smiled in embarrassment and said, "Ha ha ha, Junior Wang Ting, how can you be a monster? You're so handsome. I made an indiscreet remark just now. Please don't take it to heart." One Wan Baichio. Do you? Everyone. They had never seen Han Zhu acting so shamelessly before. Ha ha. Wang Ting scoffed. Either way, Junior Wang Ting, thank you for helping me take revenge, Wan Baichio said earnestly. You don't have to. I didn't like Zhao Yuanwu either, Wang Ting waved his hands and said. Wan Baichio smiled, remaining quiet. There was no need to be too explicit about certain matters. After dinner, Peng Yuanshan gathered everyone. He opened his mouth and said, "Fight to your heart's content during the competition. The school will help you with other matters. Don't worry." He waved his hand after he finished speaking and dismissed everyone. All right, go back and have a good rest to prepare for tomorrow's matches. Everyone was puzzled. They didn't know why their president had suddenly said that sentence. After leaving the room, they went back and got some rest. Unlike his companions, Wang Ting was smiling happily. Peng Yuanshan was referring to the afternoon competition. He knew that he didn't have to worry about the Chenyuan sect anymore. Huang Hai would help him deal with them. This was how confident he could be when he had powerful support. Huang Hai Military Academy was powerful, and its alumni were scattered across all the important military departments in the country. Many of them held real power. Some were also in the business industry and had become leading figures in the business world. In terms of power, how many factions could fight with them? Chenyuan sect didn't have a chance of beating Huang Hai. Even if the Chenyuan sect was furious, they had to swallow their anger. The next day, the competition continued. Another 2 days passed. The competition was in full swing. Wang Ting continued to maintain his winning streak. Whenever he met an opponent, he would smash their heads with his brick, further cementing his position as the brick maniac. The following day, the Dragon's Den was packed with people, and the atmosphere remained as bustling as ever. As the finals approached, the audience got more and more enthusiastic. At 8 a.m. sharp, the screen didn't display the list of matches like usual. Instead, the commentator's voice rang out in the stadium. We're finally at the stage of finalizing our top 16. Everyone was shocked. For the past few days, they had watched the competition with much interest. They didn't realize that the knockouts were already here. The top 16 consists of Ji Xiaoming from the First University, Ren Qingcang from Leitang Martial House, Luo Cheng from Capital Military Academy, Wang Teng from Huanghai Military Academy, Zhao Yuanwu from Chenyuan Sect. The commentator announced all the names of the top 16 candidates. Every time he called a name, the screen would display the image of the student. Finally, all 16 students appeared together on the screen. Ji Xiaoming, Ren Qingcang, and Luo Cheng were in the first row, while Wang Teng was the first of the second row. This arrangement was based on the past performances and battle results of the contestants. Although Wang Teng was placed in the fourth position, after Ji Xiaoming and the other two candidates, it was already a high rank. After all, he was the youngest among all the contestants. No one even imagined that he could reach this state. Yet, Wang Teng's performance each time caused everyone to look at him in a new light. Victory all the way. No defeat at all. Even though he was a little cheeky and indecent, he still astounded the audience. Some even felt that he was a potential contender for the championship title, the fourth person after Ji Xiaoming and the other two hot favorites. Zhao Yuanwu might have lost to Wang Teng, but his overall battle results were enough to put him in the top 16. It was also worth mentioning that Han Zhu was among the top 16. He was at number 13, not that low a ranking overall. If he performed well during the rest of the competition, his ranking might improve. There was a chance that he could squeeze into the top 10. If he did, Huang Hai would have 2 students in the top 10. That would be an outstanding result. I'm sure everyone feels impatient after I introduced the top 16 candidates. Now, let's start with our finals. Everyone, please look at the big screen. After the commentator finished speaking, the images of the top 16 students on the screen got jumbled up and randomly grouped together. Finally, everything stopped moving. The audience held their breaths as they looked at the big screen. Wang Teng wasn't worried. He raised his head slowly after the images stopped. It was a random allocation, so he didn't care who he met. But when he saw the name of his opponent, he was still stunned. Wang Teng versus Luo Cheng. His opponent was Luo Cheng from Capital Military Academy. From a certain point of view, this was the battle between the top two military academies in the country, Huanghai Military Academy and Capital Military Academy. Chapter 361 knows how to play the game Huanghai Military Academy versus Capital Military Academy. The same thought appeared in everyone's mind. This was no longer a competition between two students. All along, everyone had placed Huanghai Military Academy and Capital Military Academy in the same category. One in the north, one in the south. North and south. The hidden meaning and representation behind the two schools were complex and couldn't be explained in a few sentences. From the start, everyone was already anticipating the collision of the two military academies. Their wish was finally granted. But everyone thought that Han Zhu would be Huanghai Military Academy's representative. It was changed to Wang Teng now. Even so, their anticipation didn't dwindle. Instead, more hopes were placed on Wang Teng. The first round of matches between the top 16 was soon confirmed. The other hot favorites didn't meet each other, though. Wang Teng and Luo Cheng's match was the highlight. Let's welcome our top 16 participants to step forward. Your arenas will be there. Commentator Zhong Jun's voice resounded in the venue. There were 9 arenas in the middle of the Dragon's Den. There was a bigger one in the center, while the other 8 circled around it. The 8 arenas were higher than the other arenas, so they were conspicuous. The middle arena was the highest, showcasing its special status with its height. The final match would be held there. The participants were split into 8 groups. They would be fighting in the surrounding 8 arenas. At this moment, Wang Teng and Huanghai Military Academy gradually stood up from the Huanghai Military Academy's resting area. They walked to the middle of the Dragon's Den. Wang Teng followed the arrangement and came to Arena 8. On the other side, Luo Cheng leaped and tapped his toes on the ground, lightly landing in the arena. Wang Teng pouted. Although Luo Cheng looked like a serious man, he was still a youngster. He liked to show off every now and then. However, he was dishonest. I don't mind if you put on a show for others, but why are you doing it secretly? Your acting is so obvious. I'm smart enough to see through your act. At the same time, the other top 16 contestants arrived at their arenas. They got ready for the fight ahead. As the participants stepped on the arenas, the atmosphere turned tense. The fight could be triggered at any moment. Just as the judge was about to announce the start of the matches, Luo Cheng suddenly raised his hand. Wait. Huh? The judge looked at Luo Cheng involuntarily. He asked, "What do you want to say?" The big screen also gave him the honor of showing his full face. After all, this was the leading figure of Capital Military Academy. In the national number 1 martial arts competition, he was the face of Capital Military Academy. Even though Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang were hot favorites, he was also a powerful contender for the number 1 title. Furthermore, in this competition so far, no one was able to force Luo Cheng to release his full potential. He might be hiding some surprises up his sleeves. Right before the competition was about to start, Luo Cheng from Arena 8 suddenly raised his hand. What does he want to do? Zhong Jun's baffled voice echoed in the venue. Everyone started talking in low voices. Is he going to admit defeat? That's impossible. You're overthinking. What do you think he wants to do? How should I know? Just wait and see. In the arena, Luo Cheng looked at Wang Teng and opened his mouth. I'd like to ask for the big arena. The big arena. Everyone turned silent. The commentator repeated Luo Cheng's words like a loudspeaker. Luo Cheng wants the big arena. F***K. What's the big arena? That's right. Can you explain it? Most of the ordinary people didn't understand what the big arena was. They were confused and kept whispering to each other. The two words weren't hard to understand, but in this situation, they didn't know what they represented. Cough. The commentator coughed awkwardly before hurriedly explaining, when the participant feels that their arena can't allow them to display their full capability, they can ask for a large-sized arena. Normally, only extremely confident contestants will make this choice. They have to be 5-star soldier level and above too. We all know that 5-star soldier level martial warriors can escape the bind of the earth and fly into the sky. It looks like Luo Cheng is taking his match with Wang Ting very seriously. Everyone was enlightened. I see. So the match will be exciting. Both of them have reached the 5-star soldier level. That means that they might fight in the air. Zhao Yuanwu is a 5-star soldier level martial warrior too. Why didn't he choose the big arena? HMPH, he looked down on Wang Ting. Zhao Yuanwu's face turned black when he got mentioned for no reason. He was already furious after losing to Wang Ting. Yet, these people were exposing his scars continuously. Who could bear with this? Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang couldn't help but stare at Luo Cheng. They were surprised. This was a quiet fellow, but he knew how to play the game. The application for the big arena won't be approved so easily. The leaders who are supervising this match are discussing this matter. Let's wait for their decision, the commentator said. On the platforms, the important figures were exchanging silent whispers. A few minutes later, they arrived at a conclusion. All right, the result is out, the commentator said. Luo Cheng's application is approved. Now, let's invite the two participants off the arena for a break. Well, proceed with your match after the other 14 participants finish theirs. Wang Ting shook his head. So troublesome. However, he still walked down the arena, not thinking too much about it. The big arena was just another venue for his match. It didn't matter to him. The other matches continued normally. Wang Ting found a random seat after he went down and started watching the matches happily. Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang's matches were exceptionally exciting. As expected of the hot favorites of this competition, they were powerful. Everyone was in the top 16, but their abilities trampled other contestants. They didn't take long to end their matches. They didn't even need to display their full strength. Wang Ting was a little disappointed. He picked up the attribute bubbles they dropped. Metal Force *50 Earth Force *68 Lightning Force *46 Fire Force *60. The Metal Force came from Ji Xiuming, while the Lightning Force belonged to Ren Qingcang. Their elements were obvious. Wang Ting ignored them and watched the other matches. Han Zhu's opponent was Chao Chihe from Jinlin University, their leading figure in fact. It was a fierce fight. The two contestants were pretty even. Mind you, the students from Jinlin University weren't weak. The first few got tormented by Wang Ting until they questioned their lives, but fortunately, Wang Ting didn't fight with any more Jinlin University students after that. They managed to keep some of their dignity. The president of Jinlin University's Martial Arts Academy sighed in relief. Without a doubt, he knew that Chao Chihe would get smashed by the brick too if he had met Wang Ting. Thank God. Chapter 362, Duel in the Sky. Han Zhu and Chao Chihe's contest lasted for half an hour. They were equal in power, so the battle was even more intense. Finally, Han Zhu won. They were both in tatters, but Chao Chihe collapsed first. The last person standing emerged as the winner. Peng Yuanshan gave a rare smile. Huanghai Military Academy was in a good position. When Han Zhu lost to Zhao Yuanwu, he thought that Huanghai had lost completely. Unexpectedly, Wang Ting turned the tides around, and now, Han Zhu fought until the end too. This was an excellent result. Peng Yuanshan was elated beyond words. On the other hand, Yang Kang's expression turned ugly. F***K. He evaded Wang Ting, but they still lost to Han Zhu. Did Huanghai have something against them this year? Yang Kang felt frustrated. The veins on his forehead bulged, and his head hurt. The matches in the arenas ended progressively. Zhao Yuanwu was injured, but he had recuperated for 2 days and was still going strong. He won his match. The commentator's voice rang throughout the Dragon's Den. All right, the other contestants' matches have ended. Please move aside. Well, arrange the big arena now. After he finished speaking, the participants retreated to the outskirts of the stage under the guidance of the staff. Boom. A loud sound was heard below the Dragon's Den. The ground vibrated as the space between the various arenas rose gradually until they reached the same height. Besides the arena right in the middle, the other arenas had turned into a circular platform surrounding the middle arena. Oh my God! Everyone exclaimed in astonishment when they saw this scene. So this was the big arena. Now, let's invite the 2 participants, Wang Teng and Luo Cheng, on stage, the commentator shouted. The atmosphere got lit up in an instant. The audience was electrified. Wang Ting's gaze shone when he saw the garish operations. He raised his feet and stepped on the staircase. He stepped into the arena at the same time as Luo Cheng. I know you. Luo Cheng suddenly opened his mouth and said. Huh? Wang Ting looked at him in confusion. My master mentioned you before, Luo Cheng said, a clever glint flashing past his eyes. Wang Ting was startled. He wondered who this young man's master was. Why was he talking to himself and making him confused? Luo Cheng. The 2 of them turned silent, and the atmosphere felt awkward for a moment. Why didn't this person follow the script? Shouldn't he ask who his master was? Luo Cheng felt speechless. In the end, he had no choice but to continue. My master is the chief commander of the Crimson Tiger Troop, Xiao Nanfeng. Oh, it's him. Wang Teng finally remembered. Xiao Nanfeng had spoken to Dan Taixian about this matter before. In the past, he was on the lookout for the participants who might be Xiao Nanfeng's disciple. However, he couldn't find him, so he thought that the other party hadn't come. As the competition progressed, he threw this thought to the back of his head. He didn't expect Luo Cheng to be Xiao Nanfeng's disciple. The 2 of them finally met under these circumstances. Interesting. They exchanged glances with one another, letting off sparks in the air. Suddenly, a figure flew over from afar. The person stepped on the air and floated above the arena. Riding on air. 7-star soldier level. Everyone exclaimed in surprise when they saw a formidable character suddenly appearing in the air above the arena. This entrance was a little grand. For most ordinary people, this was the first time seeing such a powerful presence. They were feeling over the top, their eyes overcome with yearning. Flying in the air was always a dream of mankind. Although they could make use of airplanes in this modern society, there were too many restrictions. They weren't like powerful martial warriors who could disregard gravity and stand in the air using their own power. Who wouldn't be envious of this ability? I'll be your judge for this match. The 7-star soldier-level martial warrior in the air said, Are you ready? The 2 youngsters didn't even glance at the 7-star soldier-level martial warrior. They just nodded calmly. Irritating little brats. The 7-star soldier-level martial warrior felt speechless. He pouted and went straight to the point. In that case, the match starts. Boom. Boom. 2 waves of pressure gushed out of their bodies, and their auras kept rising. 3-star soldier level, 4-star soldier level, 5-star soldier level. Crack. Along with a crisp sound, force wings spread behind their backs. A pair of watery blue elegant wings congregated behind Luo Cheng. They flapped slowly as they lifted his body off the ground. As for Wang Teng, fiery red flames rose from the ground and spiraled in the air around him. Finally, they turned into a pair of crimson fire wings. Gusts of strong wind blew in the arena, and their hairs danced. The crimson fire wings flapped a few times, and Wang Ting rose into the air. He stared at Luo Cheng straight into his eyes. The judge couldn't help but smack his lips when he saw this. He felt emotional. This was a stunning young generation. The audience was flabbergasted. They were in awe. Astonishment, longing, envy, and many other emotions gathered on their faces, mixing together into a complex mess. In the arena, the 2 young men flapped their wings. Then, they turned into rays of lights and shot towards each other. Boom, boom, boom. Intense collisions resonated in the venue. The two lingering shadows exchanged blows and smashed against each other repeatedly, giving birth to loud explosions. They were moving too fast and kept changing their positions in mid-air. If the arena wasn't big enough, they wouldn't have been able to release their full potential. Boom! Suddenly, a figure plummeted towards the ground. It was Luo Cheng. He was thrown down by Wang Ting's punch. He slammed heavily onto the arena with an enormous bang. Amidst the dust, Luo Cheng wiped the blood off the edge of his lips. There were no emotions in his eyes, though. He tapped his foot on the ground and charged towards Wang Ting once again like a flash of blue lightning. A spear had appeared in his hand at some point. It gave off a cold glint as he soared into the sky. Wang Ting stood in mid-air. His gaze remained unchanged as he casually stuck out a finger. Slash! A fiery glow shot out from his forefinger. Scorching sky finger. Luo Cheng's expression changed. The next instant, the fiery glow accurately landed on the tip of his spear. Luo Cheng felt the spear tremble like a leaf in the wind. His arm turned numb from the vibration, and he almost lost his grip. What a powerful attack! This is a finger battle technique. Luo Cheng's expression turned grave. He moved his body and retreated far away. Then, he stopped and stared at Wang Ting with vigilance. Wang Ting probably executed a finger battle technique just now. This kind of battle technique is rare. I feel ashamed to say this, but I've only seen it a few times. This is an eye-opener for me too, the commentator said loudly. Wang Ting didn't use the scorching sky anger again. Instead, he took out Mo Q and waved at Luo Cheng provocatively. He must win this match with flying colors. He must trample Luo Cheng entirely. This was the only way to let Luo Cheng know that Dan Taixian was better than Xiao Nanfeng. Similarly, as his disciple, Luo Cheng was not his match. Chapter 363, Ice Element. Double Element Martial Warrior. Luo Cheng furrowed his brows slightly when he saw Wang Ting's action. This was a provocation. He squinted his eyes into a narrow slit. The wings behind him trembled, and he bolted towards Wang Ting, leaving only his shadows behind. Wang Ting remained calm. He held Mo Q and turned into a beam of light, hurling himself at Luo Cheng. Boom! When their weapons collided, frightening bursts of forces erupted from the center. The explosions rumbled throughout the entire dragon's den. The two young men stepped on the air. One was covered with blue force, while the other had flames spiraling around him. The blue and red balls of lights kept slamming into each other. So powerful. Both of them are amazing. This is even more exciting than Wang Ting and Zhao Yuanwu's match. As expected of the leading figure from Capital Military Academy. Not many people can stand beside him in terms of ability. The audience was astounded, but they still opened their eyes wide and watched the competition with rapt attention. They were afraid that they would miss a splendid scene, so they didn't even dare to blink. The two young men kept changing their positions in the gigantic arena. Every time they moved, they would fight from one end to the other. The audience didn't know where to look. Sometimes, they couldn't follow their speed at all and lost sight of the two competitors. Wang Ting held his enormous weapon as he floated above the arena. He had been accumulating his power for some time now. He swung his weapon back before smashing it aggressively at Luo Cheng. A terrifying force erupted in an instant. Bang! A huge sound shook the arena. Luo Cheng's expression changed entirely. He plunged to the ground like a shooting star. Boom! The entire arena vibrated. There was a deep hole on the spot where he landed, with cracks all around it. They spread out like a spiderweb while Luo Cheng laid in the middle with his arms and legs spread out. Two gasped. Everyone's jaws dropped. How terrifying. They didn't know Wang Ting was so violent. How could he be so rough? He should be gentler. However, unlike others, stars appeared in the eyes of the ladies at the scene. Being savage wasn't a bad thing. The stronger you were, the greater your sense of potency. Although he looked like a pretty boy on the surface, he was a real man inside. Twice the experience. This was perfect. As for Luo Cheng, what a poor thing. This was his second time crashing on the ground, right? His posture was a little disheveled. They could tell that it was painful. Even the hard and sturdy ground of the arena had cracked. The power behind this throw could be imagined. However, Luo Cheng climbed up tenaciously while shaking his head. He was kneeling on one knee. His spear was lying on the ground and his head was lowered, so no one could see his face. Boom! Suddenly, a greater force surged out from his body. It climbed higher and higher. Below the arena, Ji Xiuming, who was sitting down and watching the match, straightened his body uncontrollably. This power, a somber expression appeared on his face. This was the first time he had felt a sense of threat from Luo Cheng. Luo Cheng was a good opponent, but, currently, he was only curious about one thing. Who would be the last one standing in this match? After all, they could only meet him if they lasted until the end. Ren Qingtsang remained expressionless. He crossed his arms in front of his chest as if he didn't care. He might give off an invincible aura all the time, but he didn't let go of any details during the match. In the arena, as Luo Cheng's aura rose exponentially, the temperature around him started dropping. After some time, ice crystals appeared around him, slowly increasing in number. A few seconds later, snow began floating in the sky. The audience gasped and looked at the sky in bewilderment. It's snowing. No, it's not snowing. Luo Cheng created the snow with his force. Luo Cheng doesn't have water force. This is ice force. Ice element. Double element martial warrior. The commentator's voice was heard immediately. This is astonishing. Luo Cheng is an ice and water force double element martial warrior. He can fight with a 6-star soldier-level martial warrior without losing out. Everyone was startled. No one had expected this situation. Indeed, the national #1 martial arts competition was a congregation of extraordinary talents. As the matches progressed, the participants revealed their trump cards one by one. Ordinary martial warriors were nothing compared to them. On the other side, Han Zhu was worried. He said in astonishment, Luo Cheng is a double-element martial warrior, and his ice force is at the 6-star soldier level too. Wang Teng is in danger. Peng Yuanshan and Tong, whose expressions turned grave. When they looked at Luo Cheng, who was now the center of attraction, they couldn't help but feel anxious for Wang Teng. Was he able to beat Luo Cheng? Yi Jisin said, I remember that Luo Cheng is Xiao Nanfeng's disciple, right? His disciple. He hides it really well. Lei Zhenting snorted. Then, he gave a sinister smile. It looks like Wang Ting has no chance of meeting Ren Qingtsang. Maybe not. Yi Jisin glanced at Wang Ting's composed expression and shook his head slowly. Has Chief Commander Xiao's disciple? This is the first time I'm hearing this, Mr. Ma said in surprise. At this moment, Wang Ting was staring at Luo Cheng below him. He was a little stunned. He never knew that Luo Cheng possessed ice force. Also, it seemed to have reached 6-star soldier level. He had ice force too. Furthermore, he got it the moment he became a martial warrior. However, ice element martial warriors weren't that common. Thus, his ice force didn't see much improvement. It was still at the 3-star soldier level. Compared to his other forces, it was lagging way behind. Hence, when he saw Luo Cheng executing ice force, a glint appeared in his eyes. Maybe he should cheer secretly for a while. Wang Teng looked at Luo Cheng as if he were an ice force ATM. Go ahead. Release it to your heart's content. Let the ice force rain on me like a storm. Wang Teng furiously suppressed the urge to smile. Luo Cheng was confused. Why did he seem excited for no reason? He thought that Wang Ting would be dumbstruck or, at the very least, surprised. Then, he would turn grim. Yet, his expression was entirely out of his expectations. He suspected whether Wang Ting had some unique fetish. One senior Luo Cheng, are you done? If you're done, let's fight quickly. I'm getting hungry from waiting. The fire wings behind his back flapped slowly, allowing him to stay in the air. Luo Cheng. He finally understood why everyone said that Wang Ting was cheeky. Can you not talk about irrelevant things on such an important occasion? Especially eating. This is a martial arts competition. Please be more serious. Luo Cheng took a deep breath and pushed these distracting thoughts out of his mind. The watery blue wings behind his back had changed into a pair of ice wings. They fluttered, and he turned into a ray of cold blue light, zooming towards Wang Ting with bone-piercing coldness. Chapter 364. Who could resist this glory? Cold air swept through the entire sky. The flames around Wang Ting grew stronger as he floated in mid-air. Swoosh! Within a blink of an eye, Luo Cheng darted in front of Wang Ting. Boom! As he pushed his spear out, an icy blue glow cut through the air and pierced towards Wang Ting. The audience could feel the chill penetrate their bones. They shivered uncontrollably and hugged their clothes tightly. 6-star soldier-level martial warriors were able to change the temperature within a certain radius around them. The discovery left the ordinary people reeling in shock. However, Wang Ting wasn't the least bit affected. Against the roaring flames, his expression appeared as calm as the surface of a serene lake. He raised Mo Q. The flames towered behind him, giving off a terrifying presence. Boom! The next moment, flames enveloped the whole sky. A sword glow cut its way out of the flames and shot out. Earth-rank sword skill, cremation. The sword aura clashed with the spear aura, giving off an earth-shaking explosion. One ice and one fire, mutual restriction, both of them refused to budge. Oh my god, Wang Ting managed to receive Luo Cheng's attack forcefully with his 5-star soldier-level battle ability. They are equal in combat prowess, the commentator exclaimed in surprise. Wang Ting had only displayed 5-star soldier-level abilities until now, so everyone assumed that he was at the 5-star soldier level. Moreover, the 5-star soldier level was already frightening enough. After all, he was only a freshman. It had been a mere half-year since the university entrance exam ended. Imagine him rising from the 1-star soldier level to the 5-star soldier level in this short time. What kind of monster was he? If he exceeded this realm, the word monster wouldn't be enough to describe him anymore. This brat. Zhao Yuanwu's expression was dangerously eerie. When he executed his secret skill, he was only half a step to the 6-star soldier level. He thought that he could fight for the top 3 with this trump card, but before he even entered the top 16, he was already defeated by Wang Ting. He knew that the half-step 6-star soldier level was still a huge distance away from the real 6-star soldier level. However, Wang Ting was able to stand his ground under Luo Cheng's attacks. This proved that he was much more powerful than him, and he didn't win based on pure luck. I don't believe you can beat a real 6-star soldier-level martial warrior, Zhao Yuanwu scoffed, feeling jealous in his heart. Bang! The ice and fire merged in the air, no one giving way to the other. Luo Cheng and Wang Ting collided once again. Luo Cheng's expression turned grave. He had employed all his strength as well as his final card, his Ice Force. In most cases, an ordinary 6-star soldier-level martial warrior would have lost to him already. However, Wang Ting had blocked his attack with ease. He seemed relaxed even. They fought for more than half an hour, but there was still no winner. This intense match had stupefied the audience. These two youngsters were damn powerful. Pant, pant, after all that heated struggle, Luo Cheng was panting like a dog. He stared at Wang Ting with disbelief in his eyes. This doesn't make sense. Everyone said that he didn't have many rivals in his generation. Yet here stood someone with a lower level than him who was able to fight him toe-to-toe. Even more, the man was younger than him. Damn it, were they lying to him all this while? Luo Cheng started questioning his life. He took a deep breath. It's alright, I just have to win this match. If I get defeated by someone with a lower realm, I'll be humiliated. This didn't just affect his face. It would affect his master's dignity too. Hence, he could not and must not lose. He, Luo Cheng, wouldn't lose here. Boom. A dense chill erupted from his body, and snowflakes fell from the sky. A layer of ice had formed on the ground under the freezing temperature. Spear conscious. Earth-rank battle technique, the startling dragon spear. Roar. A dragon's roar reverberated around the entire dragon's den. The instant Luo Cheng thrust his spear out, snowflakes rolled together and congregated into an ice dragon. The lifelike dragon head looked majestic and terrifying. Wang Ting let out a long breath, and his expression turned a little serious. He could not underestimate this attack. In an instant, flames soared into the sky. It was like a volcano erupting from its slumber. The temperature rose instantly and melted the ice around them. Clang! The impact between a blade and a sword shook the audience's eardrums. The glow of a blade and a sword penetrated the clouds, and multiple wisps of sword and blade auras burst forth. They intertwined as if they were dancing in the air. Wang Ting had executed his extreme flaming sword presence, which was close to reaching the conscious level, and his flaming blade conscious simultaneously. The force of the sword and blade. The roars of the sword and blade. Glaring red lights lit up the entire sky. Slash. He swung Mo Q. The blade and sword glow lunged at the ice dragon as if they had received a command from the emperor. Roar. The ice dragon looked up to heaven and roared. It wanted to freeze the flames with its chill. Slash. 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 Wang Ting's eyes widened as he pushed Mo Q down. The fiery red blade and sword aura merged together and streaked towards the head of the ice dragon. Bang! The atmosphere in the dragon's den seemed to have frozen instantly. The eyes of the audience almost popped out of their sockets when they saw the fantastical scene. Crack! Suddenly, a loud and clear sound entered everyone's ears, jolting them awake. A striking crack had suddenly appeared on the giant dragon's head. Then, amidst the stunned gazes, the crack grew bigger and bigger. Crack! Crack! Loud cracks resounded without a stop. Luo Cheng's expression changed drastically, and he retreated at the fastest speed. Boom! At that moment, an even louder explosion sounded. The huge ice dragon shattered into fragments. It was brutally chopped into pieces. Flames swept through the arena. Bang! Luo Cheng was still a step too late. He got hit by the overflowing force from the impact and smashed on the ground. The ice on the ground melted and evaporated, leaving no traces. Instead, burnt marks appeared on the ground alongside the sword and blade marks. It was a long trail of destruction, presenting a ghastly sight to the audience. A few moments later, the flames also faded away. Luo Cheng was in a bedraggled state. His body was covered with blade and sword marks. He staggered as he tried to get up but vomited a mouth of blood instead. Fart! He looked up at the sky. However, his vision was blurred by blood, so he couldn't see clearly. He raised his long spear and pointed it at Wang Ting in the sky. "I won't be defeated." Luo Cheng's voice was hoarse. He refused to accept his defeat. Then, he collapsed on the ground. The entire dragon's den turned silent when they saw Luo Cheng falling. Many people glanced at the young man standing straight and tall in the sky with the fire wings flapping behind him. There were too many emotions on their faces. Astonishment, disbelief. The next second, a horde of people stood up in unplanned unison and gave him a standing ovation. Gradually, more and more people stood up. Applause sounded until it submerged the entire dragon's den. Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang raised their heads in surprise, feeling dumbfounded by this scene. Wang Ting was able to gain the recognition of the whole stadium. What an honor this was! Even though Ji Xiuming didn't like other people pursuing and flattering him, even though he viewed this as trouble, he was still moved. Who could resist this moment of glory? Chapter 365. Mysterious Elder. The enormous dragon's den was filled with applause, and the cheers were all for one person. When the competition started, many of them didn't even know Wang Ting. They didn't specially come to see him either. However, they were in or after today's match. Wang Shangguo and his wife felt proud and emotional when they saw everyone cheering for their son. All eyes were fixed on their child as he stood on the stage of the biggest competition in the country. He had set the world on fire. There was nothing that could make them prouder. Lin Chuhan felt a little absent-minded as she looked at the familiar figure. He was usually cheeky and playful, but during crucial times, he could always dazzle the crowd. He was destined to be in the limelight. At the same time, 3 people were standing at the peak of Dragon's Den. If Wang Ting could see them, he would recognize 2 of them. They were Xiao Nanfeng and Dan Taixian. At the moment, They were standing behind an elder, who was wearing a dark green long gown that covered his scrawny body. They had been here for a long time and watched the entire match. However, no one noticed their presence, not even the general stage martial warriors sitting below. This child is interesting. The elder suddenly smiled gently after the match ended. You're flattering him. Dan Taishen smiled and said. You have good foresight. The elder said, are you planning to let him enter the Black Sparrow troop? Yes. I'm sick of this position. Based on that brat's speed of progression, he will be able to reach my level soon enough. At that time, I'll let him take over, Dan Taishen replied. Xiao Nanfeng glanced at Dan Taishen in astonishment when he heard this. Aren't you afraid that your subordinates will refuse to acknowledge him? The elder asked. They can battle it out. This position belongs to the person with a harder punch anyway, Dan Taishen said indifferently. You're right. However, strength isn't enough to convince the public. You must have military exploits, too, the elder said. That's why I'm sending him to the Black Sparrow troop. It will give him experience and sharpen his edges, Dan Taishen replied. The elder nodded. He turned and addressed Xiao Nanfeng. Your disciple is good too. It looks like you have spent much effort grooming him. Thank you for your compliment. Still lacking. Xiao Nanfeng was overwhelmed by the unexpected compliment. Don't belittle yourself. There are many outstanding youngsters in this generation. If you groom your disciple properly, he will be the mainstay of our nation in the future, the elder said. Yes, I won't disappoint you, Xiao Nanfeng said excitedly. All right, I'm tired. I'm going back first. The elder yawned and disappeared on the spot with a flash. He came and left without a trace as if he had never appeared. Dan Taishen and Xiao Nanfeng bowed in the direction where the elder disappeared. How is it? Xiao Nanfeng, my disciple's not bad, right? Dan Taishen smiled with delight. Xiao Nanfeng snorted and disappeared into thin air. He felt frustrated, so he didn't want to reply to Dan Taishen. After the elder left, the general stage martial warriors in the dragon's den finally noticed the two people standing at the peak. Soon, they realized that these two auras were familiar. It's them. Yi Jisin raised his head in surprise. They came, Lei Zhenting said. Who are they? Mr. Ma asked curiously when he saw their expressions. The chief commanders of the Crimson Tiger Troop and the Black Sparrow Troop. Yi Jisin smiled. It's them. Mr. Ma was flabbergasted. The applause lasted for a long time. The commentator started speaking. Wang Teng has won the match. He beat his opponent with a higher realm than him. This is mind-blowing. Wang Ting slowly floated down from the sky as he listened to the commentator praising him. The wings behind him dissipated, and he landed in the arena. He scanned the stage and picked up multiple bubbles. Water Force *76 Ice Force *132 Advanced Stage Ice Talent *1 Spirit *20 Enlightenment *36 Wang Teng was elated. 132 points of Ice Force. Why did he play with Luo Cheng for such a long time? He wanted to get more benefits from him. In the end, his efforts weren't wasted. The other most important attribute was the Advanced Stage Ice Talent. Talent was the main reason Luo Cheng reached the 6-star soldier level at such a young age. Martial arts cultivation and hard work were indeed important, but if his talent wasn't high enough, he would need more time to reach his current stage. A hardworking person with amazing talent would naturally require less time. Wang Ting had intermediate stage ice talent before this, but it was changed to advanced stage ice talent now. His attributes were getting better and better. He would yield twice the results with the same effort when he cultivated his ice force in the future. After the judge announced the result, Wang Teng glanced at Luo Cheng worriedly. This was the favored child from Capital Military Academy. He hoped that this competition wouldn't give him a huge blow to his confidence and affect his speed of advancement. After all, the stronger he became, the more attributes he would drop. Han Zhu and the others clustered around him after he walked down the arena. You are seriously a maniac. Han Zhu punched Wang Teng's chest. Hey, don't injure our potential champion. Wan Baiqiu pushed him away in disdain. Ha ha ha. Everyone burst out laughing. Come on, let's go back and rest. You will probably have to face Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang now, Han Ju said. In the afternoon, the losers in the morning were reshuffled and given new opponents. Even if they were heavily injured, they still had to enter the arena unless they gave up. Fortunately, the competitors had powerful support behind their backs. They didn't go stingy on high-class dans and medicines, so most of them were able to recover with a few hours of rest. For instance, Zhao Yuanwu originally needed to recuperate for a long time after using the secret skill, but within a few days, he was able to return to the arena, alive and kicking. Wang Teng didn't care about the rankings of these people, though. The competition continued the second day. The 8 participants would be split into 4 teams. Wang Teng was stunned when he saw the names on the big screen. His opponent was a lady. After Maro Na, this was the second lady who had landed in his hands. The lady's expression changed when she saw her opponent. Maro Na's match was still fresh in her mind. She got slammed on the back of her head by the brick. It was painful and embarrassing to watch. Wang Teng, can we reach an agreement? Asked the lady cautiously. Wang Teng looked at her in confusion. Let's have a proper fight. Please don't use your brick, the lady said. Oh. Wang Teng understood. He nodded and said, don't worry, I'll be gentle. All right, thank you. The lady felt at ease. In the next second, she became stern and stood in position. Let's start. A few minutes later. Bang! A dull thud was heard. The lady rolled her eyes and fell to the ground. The lady. Damn it, didn't you say that you won't use the brick? Chapter 366. Wang Teng vs. Ji Xiuming. Wang Ting looked at the lady lying below his feet and shook his head. A lady's chest was never in proportion with her intelligence. Don't you know every man is a liar? One, you will suffer if you don't understand this truth. This is a free lesson for you. Wang Teng almost got touched by his own kindness. How can I be so outstanding? There aren't many compassionate people like me in this era. 2 Spirit *12 Enlightenment *10 would force *66. Wang Teng picked up the attribute bubbles and left. Honestly, there were only a few people whom he took seriously among the top 16. The other contestants were no doubt powerful, but they were still a distance away from the ones in the first tier. The top 4 matches took place in the morning. Wang Teng advanced successfully. Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang didn't spend too much time either in entering the top 4. The last person would be decided between Luo Cheng and Zhao Yuanwu. In the end, Zhao Yuanwu lost. In front of a true 6-star soldier-level martial warrior, much less an equally talented 6-star soldier-level martial warrior, the difference of 1 star was like a chasm. Not everyone could defeat someone with a higher level like Wang Teng. Thus, after losing to Wang Teng, Zhao Yuanwu suffered another painful loss. The top 4 were decided very soon. The other 3 were expected, while Wang Teng made his entrance as a black horse. Even until now, many people were recollecting the pleasant memories of his previous match. When the crowd dispersed, everyone was still engaged in heated discussions. The top 2 will be decided in the afternoon. I wonder who will be fighting for the number 1 title in the end. I think Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang have higher chances. Who knows? Wang Teng has been looking relaxed so far. I don't think he has displayed his full strength yet. Now that I think about it, that seems to be the truth. When they returned to the hotel, Hanju asked, you will be meeting Ji Xiuming or Ren Qingcang in the afternoon. Are you nervous? Based on Hanju's ranking, he would enter the top 10. Hence, he was in a good mood and even started teasing Wang Teng. What's there to be nervous about? To me, he's just a normal opponent, Wang Teng said calmly. How daring of you. Those 2 are the hot favorites for the title. How can they be compared to ordinary contestants? Wan Baiqiu was speechless. You flatter them too much. If you peel away their flamboyant shell, they are just normal people. They will be defeated too, Wang Ting shook his head and replied. The students from Huanghai Military Academy glanced at one another. They felt that his words made sense, but it still sounded weird. Fine, you're right. You're the handsome one after all, Hanju said. One Wang Ting. Everyone. The entire nation was talking about the competition. When friends met each other on the streets in the afternoon, they didn't ask, "Have you eaten?" Instead, they greeted each other with, "Have you watched the martial arts competition?" Or, "Who do you think will be the champion?" The competition was trending on the internet too, and the topic regarding the champion rose to the top. All the celebrities' rumors had to move to the side. The national #1 martial arts competition had become the main discussion topic for the public. In the afternoon, the Dragon's Den was jam-packed. There were no empty seats. It was filled with people to the brink. The commentator began the introduction. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to welcome the finale of this competition. Now, we need to determine the contenders for the champion title. From Ji Xiaoming, Ren Qingcang, Wang Teng, and Luo Cheng, who will emerge as the winner? Let us wait and see." Alright, enough with the talk. Let's start the competition. Please look at the big screen. When his words ended, the match list appeared. Wang Teng vs Ji Xiaoming, Luo Cheng vs Ren Qingcang. Wang Teng's eyes lit up. "My opponent is Ji Xiaoming." He stood up and walked to the arena. Ji Xiaoming. The girl fans went crazy when they saw Ji Xiaoming, screaming at the top of their lungs. Ji Xiaoming's popularity was frightening. Wang Teng felt the corners of his lips twitching. He would never admit that he felt a little jealous. "That brat isn't even as handsome as me." Tian Xiaoxiao kept swaying her head from left to right. "What should I do? Oh my god, Ji Xiaoming is so handsome. However, I should be firmly supporting little brother Wang Teng, Lin Chuhan. Can you have a bottom line?" Xu Wantong held her forehead. "Alright, I'll stand firmly on little brother Wang Teng's side." Tian Xiaoxiao resolutely nodded with a serious expression. In the arena, Wang Teng and Ji Xiaoming walked up to the stage and stood still. Ji Xiaoming was like a sword. His eyebrows, eyes, lips, all his features were as sharp as a sword. Even a stranger could tell that he was a swordsman at one glance. One with his sword talent, he must have enlightened his sword conscious. Wang Teng wondered to himself as he looked at his opponent. Ji Xiaoming held his long sword and turned to look at the judge. "Please bring up the big arena." No one was surprised by his request. The decision arrived quickly as well, and the big arena was activated once again. "Alright, we can have a proper match now." Ji Xiaoming smiled at Wang Teng. "At first, I thought that Ren Qingcang was the only person who needed my attention. After some time, I realized that you're not bad either." "We were wrong, cut the crap. Let's start." Wang Teng cut him short. Ji Xiaoming's gaze froze. "Alright." Boom. His aura exploded as he strode forward. The long sword in his hand turned into lingering shadows as it danced in the air. As expected, his sword skill was exquisite. Wang Teng remained cool as a cucumber. He grabbed Mo Q and chopped it down. "No matter how skillful your sword skill is, I have my way of breaking it." Boom. Force erupted like a volcano. Ji Xiaoming was forced to retract his sword to evade the attack. Ji Xiaoming had to retreat in the first round. The audience rubbed their eyes. They found it unbelievable. No way. Ji Xiaoming has never failed in his sword attacks, but he suffered a setback because of Wang Ting. Did Ji Xiaoming underestimate his opponent? Wang Ting gained the upper hand in the first round. It looks like this will be an exciting competition. Ji Xiaoming, fighting. After forcing Ji Xiaoming back, Wang Ting moved and disappeared on the spot. He bolted towards Ji Xiaoming and swung Mo Q down ruthlessly. Ji Xiaoming's expression changed. However, he didn't retaliate. Instead, he aimed his sword at Wang Ting's heart, using an attack as his defense. If Wang Ting didn't abandon his attack, both of them would be injured seriously. He wasn't stupid. A glint flashed past his eyes. He hurled Mo Q back and punched his left fist out, aiming straight at Ji Xiaoming's face. Ji Xiaoming's expression changed again. He pushed his palm out. Bang! Once the fist and palm collided, force gushed out. The powerful impact caused both of them to retreat a few meters. They exchanged glances with each other and released their wings. An instant later, only flashes of their figures were visible as they soared into the sky, engaging in an even more intense battle. Chapter 367, The Sword from the Sky. They continued fighting in the sky. Ji Xiuming turned into a gleaming ray of sword glow, and it was almost impossible to stare at him. But to everyone's amazement, Wang Ting remained composed even when facing Ji Xiuming. He held his divine weapon, Mo Q, and used it to execute all the blade skills and sword skills he had learned. His skills were as exquisite as Ji Xiuming's. Everyone stared at him with utmost concentration. They didn't want to miss any exciting scenes. As expected of a sword prodigy, his skills are as impressive and triumphant as ever. There may not be another person in the younger generation who is able to reach this stage of proficiency. The commentator paused before continuing. However, we can see that Wang Ting's sword skill is profound too. He's executing both sword and blade skills. This means that his blade skill is as adept as his sword skill. What a stunning talent. This is a battle between two ultimate talent. Boom. The two figures moved back. Ji Xiuming's expression didn't change. He focused his gaze, and the sword glow blossomed. The deathly strike. Earth-rank battle technique. A sword glow sped towards Wang Ting's vital point at the speed of lightning. From afar, only a glaring ray of light could be seen. It was chilling. Wang Ting felt that he was locked in. No matter how he dodged, he couldn't evade the sword. This was an extremely fast move. Yet he wasn't afraid. He had a similar skill in his arsenal. Shadow Assassin sword skill. Earth-rank battle technique. He would give him a taste of his own medicine. The swords flashed past, and all traces of the attacks disappeared. It was as if they never happened. Ji Xiuming's expression changed slightly. Wang Ting was the first person who was able to block his attack with a sword move. It meant that his sword skill was on par with him. It looks like Ji Xiuming has met his match, the commentator said. Maro Na and the other students sitting in the first university's resting area were startled. Oh my god, he blocked Xiuming's sword. That brat is a monster, Yu Dao said bitterly. On the other side, in Huanghai's resting area, Han Zhu and the other students were elated. We have a chance. I never imagined that one of us could defeat Ji Xiuming, Wn Baiqiu exclaimed. Entering the top 3 and fighting for the championship, are we able to enjoy this glory too? Du Yu asked. Based on the current situation, it's entirely possible. Again, Wang Ting waved his hand at Ji Xiuming. Impudent. Ji Xiuming's expression turned grim. A sharp and fierce aura seeped out of his body as he pressed towards Wang Ting with his invisible sword presence. Boom. The air around him suddenly started making cracking noises. It was compressed to the maximum. Wang Ting remained indifferent, though. He released his own sword presence and tapped the tip of the sword lightly. However, he managed to slash a hole in his opponent's sword presence. Ji Xiuming's expression changed, suddenly feeling helpless. All his skills were useless in front of Wang Ting. He felt exasperated. Clang. The long sword in his hand gave off a ringing sound as if comforting him. Ji Xiuming shuddered. His expression turned resolute again, and his gaze became as sharp as his sword. I have been learning sword skills all my life. This is my most powerful attack. If you can block it, you win. His voice spread out gradually as he shot towards the sky. Wang Ting raised his head uncontrollably. In a blink of an eye, Ji Xiuming had turned into a small black dot. He could feel that as Ji Xiuming climbed higher, the aura around him got more and more concentrated. The president of the Martial Arts Academy of the First University, Ji Huayang, stood up with his hands behind his back. He walked to the edge of the audience stand and looked up at the sky. This was the decisive move. Ji Xiuming was the leading figure of the First University. If he lost to Wang Ting, it meant the loss of the First University. Ji Xiuming flew into the air and is climbing higher and higher. What is he planning to do? Zhong Jun asked curiously. He seems to be executing his most powerful attack. I think he's converging his presence, Su Xiao replied. Converging presence. This is not an ordinary move, Zhong Jun said. The audience chatted loudly as they fixed their gazes at the sky. Some of them even held their breaths, looking even more nervous than the competitors. Wang Ting clasped Mo Qiu and squinted. Suddenly, a light flashed across the sky. Then, he saw an enormous sword glow, falling from the sky. This attack is very powerful. Wang Ting's expression turned grave. He could feel the three-level sword conscious in this attack. Ji Xiuming had compressed all his sword skills into this one move. It wouldn't be an easy task to receive it. If he wasn't careful, he might lose this match. This was an emergency. He didn't even have time to think. Wang Ting arrived at a conclusion instantly. He released his 6-star soldier-level power. Boom. The next second, a formidable force surged out of his body. Wang Ting swung Mo Qiu upwards. Flaming blade conscious. Overflowing blade conscious. 2 blade consciouses were hurled out simultaneously. A blue sword glow and a red sword glow circled around each other as they shot up the sky. Wow! Ji Huiyang just sat down, only to stand up again instantly. He was dumbfounded. 2 types of blade consciouses. It wasn't his fault. For an average person, enlightening one conscious was difficult enough. Yet Wang Ting had managed to enlighten 2. Even more, these were 2 consciouses with entirely different attributes. The difficulty level was even higher. Anyone would be flabbergasted. The blue and red blade glows seemed to have turned into 2 dragons as they charged towards Ji Xiuming's sword aura. Boom! The blade and sword collided in the air, and deafening clashes shook the audience's eardrums continuously. The sword glow was above, and the blade glow was below. None of them were willing to give way. They were moving towards mutual destruction. However, Wang Ting still had some reserved strength. He pulled out Mo Qiu and fired his extreme sword presence. The sword presence instantly shattered the balance. Boom, boom, boom. Amid scary explosions, force wreaked havoc in the dragon's den. After the airwaves subsided, the scene in the arena was finally revealed to the public. A figure was leaning against his sword, half kneeling on the ground. It was Ji Xiuming. Gasp! There was a huge commotion. Ji Xiuming was hurt. They looked at the other end of the arena. Wang Ting was standing there silently with Mo Qiu in his hand. Although his clothes were a little messy, he wasn't hurt. The winner was apparent. You lost. Wang Ting looked down at his opponent and said calmly. Ji Xiuming raised his head abruptly. He wanted to speak, but instead, he vomited a mouthful of blood. Splurt. He was dejected and depressed. He staggered before pulling himself up, walking down the arena in distress. I lost. Just like he said, if Wang Ting caught his attack, he would win. Because this was his most powerful attack. Since he couldn't defeat Wang Ting with his most powerful move, there was no use fighting anymore. The audience was dumbfounded. Ji Xiuming had admitted defeat voluntarily. When they looked at Ji Xiuming's back view, they only saw despair and loneliness. He was a talent whom everyone thought highly of, yet he still lost. Ji Xiuming was extremely popular at the start as everyone believed that he would walk until the end. No one had expected this result. Chapter 368, A Physical Duel. Wang Ting won. There was a massive uproar in the dragon's den. This result was out of many people's expectations, especially Ji Xiuming's supporters. They never imagined that he would lose to Wang Ting. Some of them couldn't accept this result. However, most of the spectators were yelling Wang Ting's name, cheering for him, and congratulating him. His performance had captured the hearts of many people. Formidable warriors would be respected and admired wherever they went. There was no doubt about Wang Ting's power. In General Bai's livestream room, a wealthy ID sent 100 rockets at once. All the viewers started commenting in astonishment. Oh my god! Black Horse has the ultimate black horse. Wang Ting is amazing. He managed to defeat Ji Xiuming. This is a rising star. These were the thoughts of ordinary people. Martial warriors, on the other hand, noticed many more things. For instance, Wang Ting was a 6-star soldier-level martial warrior. For instance, he possessed water force. For instance, his water element blade conscious was enlightened. Every single discovery shocked them even more than the last. Wang Ting had exposed many cards in this match. On the second floor of the audience stand, Ji Huiyang heaved a long sigh and sat down on his seat dejectedly. The first university lost. They lost to Huanghai Military Academy. It was hard for him to accept this result. But could he blame Ji Xiuming? No. He knew that Ji Xiuming had tried his best. It was just that Wang Ting was a rare breed. Talents like him were like a killin's horn, but no one could do anything if they met him. He couldn't reprimand Ji Xiuming. Ji Huiyang turned and looked at Wang Ting standing in the arena. What a stunning talent! If the first university had managed to pull him into their school at the start, this match wouldn't have occurred. The honor of the champion would still belong to the first university. Unfortunately, there were no IFS. Peng Yuanshan and the other heads were elated. Honestly, they didn't expect Wang Ting to win. This was a huge and joyful present for them. At first, they felt that getting into the top 10 would be an achievement. Yet not only did he enter the top 10, but he also climbed all the way to the top 3. The top 3 and the top 10, this was a huge difference. Also, it looked like they had the chance of bagging the championship title. Peng Yuanshan was a composed person, but when he saw that their school had the chance of snatching the championship title, his heart started pounding. After the match ended, Wang Ting walked down the arena. Ren Qingtsang and Luo Cheng's match started. They were both at 6-star soldier level, but Ren Qingtsang was more powerful. He only used 10 minutes to win the match. Luo Cheng was thrown out of the arena, and he fainted. When Wang Ting looked at the figure bathing in lightning, his expression turned grave. Leiting physique is indeed a powerful physical skill. Ren Qingtsang seemed to have felt his gaze. He turned and looked at him with a cold smile at the edge of his lips. Wang Ting smiled. A glint flashed past his eyes. That marks the end of today's matches. The final winners are Wang Ting and Ren Qingtsang. Tomorrow, we will find out who's the champion among these two. Who do you think will emerge as the #1 martial warrior of the younger generation this year? The anticipation for tomorrow's match is at an all-time high. The commentator finished speaking, and the audience started to leave the Dragon's Den. The next day, the Dragon's Den was filled up bright and early in the morning. This was the final day of the national #1 martial arts competition. It was the most important day too. The champion would be born today. There were only Huanghai Military Academy and Leiting Martial House in the competition zone. Sitting in the resting area of Huanghai, Wang Ting's expression was calm and composed. Even when the match was about to start, there were still no ripples in his heart. Even if his opponent was Ren Qingtsang. Suddenly, he heard footsteps beside him. He looked up. Master. It was Dan Taixian. I feel at ease seeing how calm you are. Dan Taixian smiled and said. What's there to worry about? It's just a competition, Wang Ting replied indifferently. That's how my disciple should be, Dan Taixian said. Peng Yuanshan and the others felt speechless when they saw their reaction. Their worry was for nothing. These two people weren't anxious at all. On the other side, Ren Qingtsang was standing beside an elder sitting in a wheelchair. I didn't expect the Wang family to groom such a talent. The elder suddenly opened his mouth and said. He's quite gifted, but he'll still defeat him, Ren Qingtsang said confidently. So what if you defeat him? He's still young. He will rise in the future given enough time, the elder shook his head and said. Death and injuries are common in the arena. A malicious glint appeared in Ren Qingkang's eyes. The elder hesitated for a moment before nodding. Act according to your ability. The Ren family has to rely on you. While they were conversing, Wang Ting noticed this elder too. It's him. Wang Ting immediately recognized the elder as Grandpa Wang's archenemy. What a surprise to see him at the competition today. Interesting. Will he die from anger if I defeated his grandson whom he's so proud of? Wang Ting scoffed, feeling no compassion towards this elder. This was a man who hated his grandfather until the end of the world. He yearned to destroy the Wang family. In his past life, he was the one who forced the Wang family onto the path of destruction. Even though the two lifetimes were different, the hatred was still the same. 8 a.m. sharp. The time has arrived. May the two contestants enter the central arena. The commentator's excited voice resounded in the entire Dragon's Den. Going up. Wang Teng got to his feet and walked towards the center arena. Soon, Wang Teng and Ren Qingcang took their spots on the opposite sides. They stood facing each other. Ren Qingcang suddenly raised his right hand and moved it across his neck like a knife. Wang Teng squinted when he saw this action. As a reply, he raised his hand and clenched it into a fist. Everyone was puzzled, wondering what Wang Teng wanted to do. At that moment, a finger popped up from the fist. The middle finger. Ren Qingcang's face turned black. Fart. Many people burst out laughing. Cheeky. Wang Teng was really cheeky. The judge glanced at the two competitors and felt the heated atmosphere between them. He immediately announced the start of the match. Boom. Brilliant bolts of lightning shot out from Ren Qingcang's body. He seemed to have turned into the god of lightning as he strode towards Wang Teng. Wang Teng wasn't afraid. Instead, glimmers of excitement could be seen in his eyes. He immediately used his 8th-level devil scripture, and all his muscles started changing. They turned as hard as steel. He walked forward. They were some distance apart. They started with a brisk walk before turning into rays of light and colliding with an explosion. Boom. Ren Qingcang punched out without any mercy. Wang Teng replied with a fist too. Fighting strength with strength. There was nothing he was afraid of. Bang! The two fists collided. Unexpectedly, both of them released another punch with their left hands almost at the same time. Boom! Another clash of fists. Force exploded. Airwaves swept through the venue. The two of them entered a battle of strength. A hint of disbelief appeared in Ren Qingcang's eyes. Wang Teng was able to take him head-on. Mind you, he practiced Lei Tang physique, which was a sky-rank physical scripture. How could Wang Teng resist him? Chapter 369. The 9 Strikes of Lei Tang. Ren Qingcang was a conceited and proud person. At the start, he looked down on Wang Teng. However, Wang Teng had managed to fight his way through the tournament and challenge him for the championship. Even Ji Xiuming, whom he viewed as his opponent, lost to Wang Teng. How ironic. When he exchanged blows with Wang Teng, he finally realized that this young man wasn't as easy as he appeared on the surface. Even his Lei Tang physique was blocked. This was a first. He couldn't accept it. At this moment, the two young men were close at hand. Force surged out from their fists, and strength built up in their arms as they attempted to throw their opponent off his feet. However, none of them budged an inch. They were like huge rocks that had ingrained their roots in the ground. Boom. Ren Qingcang's gaze was apathetic. He suddenly bent his knees and kicked Wang Teng's chest. If his attack was successful, Wang Teng would at least lose a few rib bones. Wang Teng lifted his leg and kicked his opponent's calf. He forcefully stopped this move in mid-air. They immediately separated afterward. Ren Qingcang took a few steps back and stomped on the ground. He shot towards Wang Teng, leaving after-images behind him. He appeared on the left side of Wang Teng and swept his leg towards him. Wang Teng reacted instantaneously. He blasted his fist at Ren Qingcang's kneecap. Both of them had exerted all their strength in this match, not holding back at all. Ren Qingcang's expression changed. He didn't dare to receive this punch forcefully. Lightning shone around him, and he disappeared on the spot again. He attacked Wang Teng from another direction. Speed contest. I'm not slow either. Wang Teng raised his eyebrows. Wind force gushed out from his force nucleus. Steps of gale. Wang Teng turned into a gust of wind and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Ren Qingcang's attack only hit his shadow. He squinted and turned around immediately. Almost instinctively, he raised his arm. Bang! A vicious attack landed on his arm. Ren Qingcang was forced to retreat a few meters from the powerful impact. His reaction is quite fast. Wang Teng was stunned for an instant. Then he disappeared again and reappeared around Ren Qingcang. He rained attacks on him from all directions. Ren Qingcang's expression turned ugly. He didn't dare to be careless. He would scan his surroundings vigilantly to search for Wang Ting's figure. Then, he would block Wang Ting's attacks. Bang, bang, bang. This was the sound of the collision of the physical bodies. The audience felt their eyelids jumping when they heard it. Ren Qingcang was renowned for his physical strength and impenetrable body. Even then, he was at a disadvantage. This script seemed a little weird. Get lost. Ren Qingcang roared. The lightning around his body erupted, and a pair of lightning wings blossomed behind him. He soared into the sky like a bolt of lightning, so fast that it was almost impossible to catch his figure. What amazing speed! Wang Teng was startled. He was too fast for him to see with his eyes. Lightning slash! A cold cry came from the air before a bolt of purple lightning flashed in the sky and struck down on Wang Teng. Wang Teng squinted. His wings also emerged with wind force circling them. He accelerated his speed to his maximum and disappeared into thin air. Boom! The purple lightning struck the spot where Wang Teng was a second ago, creating a burnt hole. What a formidable move! Wang Teng reappeared in the sky and looked down at the damage caused by the lightning. The edge of his lips twitched. He stared ominously at Ren Qingcang. Ren Qingcang was too quick. He kept changing his position in the air, so Wang Teng couldn't fix his gaze on him. Wang Teng snorted as Mo Q appeared in his hand. He shook his wrist, and a glaring glow appeared at the tip of the divine weapon. Shadow Assassin Sword Skill. It was a speed skill. Counteracting speed with speed. Slash. The swift and unpredictable sword moves forced Ren Qingcang to stop hiding. There were even a few sword cuts on his clothes. Take one more punch. Wang Ting followed up his success with another mighty fist. Ape King Fist. Ren Qingcang's face turned black. He retaliated with a punch of his own. Bang! The two fists clashed. Ren Qingcang's expression changed slightly as he flew back uncontrollably. Again, Wang Ting flew forward. He seemed to have turned into a giant ape. Fist auras rained down on Ren Qingcang like a storm. Bang, bang, bang. The frightening fist force landed on Ren Qingcang continuously. Boom. A figure plummeted from the sky and smashed onto the ground violently. There was a loud crash. Before the dust dispersed, the figure shot back into the sky, flying straight towards Wang Ting like a lightning arrow. Scorching sky finger. Wang Ting stared intently at him and pointed with his finger. Flames rolled out from his finger and charged towards the lightning arrow. Boom! Two rays of light clashed in midair and exploded. Ren Qingcang, what other skills do you have? Execute all of them. Stop hiding. Wang Ting laughed loudly. Impudent. Ren Qingcang snorted. His gaze turned ruthless, and he stopped talking. He shifted his body and formed two similar figures. This is... Wang Teng was flabbergasted. Then he saw the 3 Ren Qingcangs splitting again into 9 Ren Qingcangs. The 9 figures turned into rays of lights as they spiraled around Wang Teng. There seemed to be multiple enemies attacking him at the same time. Skyrank battle technique. Won the 9 strikes of Lei Taing. The 9 figures surrounded Wang Ting. Suddenly, they launched their lightning attacks. Boom! 9 bolts of lightning flashed at him. The force was terrifying. Wang Teng's expression changed slightly. Even a normal 7-star soldier-level martial warrior might not be able to withstand this move. He was extremely vigilant. He congregated force on his fist and fired it at the bolts of lightning. Ape King Fist. Fist conscious. The shadow of an Ape King towered behind Wang Ting. It was as big as a mountain. The Ape King roared and smashed its fist down. Bang! The giant ape smashed into the bolts of lightning. Explosions reverberated throughout the venue. The bolts of lightning were destroyed. The giant ape had dispersed. The impact swept across the arena, scattering all of Ren Qingcang's clones. A single figure was left behind Ren Qingcang's body. Wang Teng raised Mo Q, and the flaming sword conscious erupted from the weapon. Skyrank battle technique. 1 Big Dipper flaming blade. A terrifying flame glow slashed towards Ren Qingcang. Ren Qingcang was appalled. He didn't have time to evade, so he could only execute his Lei physique to its peak and use the thick lightning shield around his body to receive this attack. Boom! The dazzling fire blade dawned on him within a split second. Ren Qingtsang was engulfed in the sea of flames. He was hurtled down from the sky like a shooting star, leaving a trace of fire behind him as he crashed into the ground. Boom! The ground vibrated, and cracks appeared on it. The fire burned for a long time before a deep hole was made visible to the public. A disheveled figure lay in the hole. Silence. The entire venue was silent. Ren Qingtsang lost. The audience's jaws dropped in disbelief. They couldn't believe the result. Everyone's attention was focused on the figure floating in the air. How is this possible? Grandpa Ren widened his eyes in shock. Ren Qingtsang, whom he placed all his hopes in, lost. And he lost to the grandson of the person he hated the most. This was unacceptable. His breathing got rapid, and he started dry coughing. Blood began dripping down the edge of his mouth. His face was pale as if he was going to pass away at any moment. 1. Chapter 370. The sky is changing. Multiple gazes gather on a certain spot. At this moment, Wang Teng was in the spotlight. He was the most eye-catching figure at the scene. Ji Xiuming was staring at him in a daze as disappointment crept up his face. Even Ren Qingtsang lost. The greatest blow to a favored child of God was to get defeated by the person he looked down on. Even more, the person went further than him. Ji Xiuming grasped his sword tightly. His knuckles turned white from the force. He won. Han Zhu and the others found it unbelievable. They glanced at one another and didn't know how to react for a second. Wang Ting had already broken records by participating in the national number 1 martial arts competition as a freshman. Now, he was going to carry the champion's trophy home too. Who could have thought of this ending? Not even Peng Yuanshan, the person who allowed Wang Ting to enter the national number 1 martial arts competition, would have imagined such glory. This was the national number 1 martial arts competition. It was a dream. It was the dream of all young martial warriors. It was their aspiration. Peng Yuanshan was at a loss. He looked at the figure standing tall and alone in the arena and felt emotional. He turned to Dan Taishen beside him and asked, "Principal, did you know that he could become the champion?" Dan Taishen was stunned. She replied awkwardly, "I just wanted him to give it a try." Give it a try. It was understandable why the disciple was so indecent. His master was no better. Everyone was speechless. Yang Kang, the president of the Martial Arts Academy of Jinlin University, felt jealous and contemptuous. Look at what she was saying. She just wanted him to try and he became the champion. Did it mean that if he was serious, he would be able to get all the championships in the world? He would never admit that he was envious. After all, they had all fought for Wang Teng before. That meant that his university had missed the chance to become number 1. Yang Kang almost went berserk when he thought about this. That was a champion. He lost an opportunity so close at hand. He lost a few billion. This was the most regretful event in his life. Yang Kang felt hopeless. He was depressed. He really wanted to curse the lucky bastards from Huanghai Military Academy. On the other side, Yi Jisin lamented, "I remember that this brat possessed an ice element, right? He has been using the fire element all the time before using water, earth, and wind elements. This is a multi-element gifted martial warrior." Mr. Ma was shocked when he heard this. He counted silently. 5 elements. Yes. Yi Jisin smiled and nodded. If he has revealed everything, he possesses 5 elements. Oh my God. Mr. Ma gasped. What a talent. He had lost his ability to speak. Then he turned to Lei Zhenting and said, "President Lei, you shouldn't feel sad about your defeat." Lei Zhenting, who had been quiet the entire time, smiled suddenly. The competition hasn't ended yet. Mr. Ma was stunned. Lei Zhenting looked up. The sky is changing. Yi Jisin's expression changed. He raised his head abruptly and looked up at the sky. The sky had indeed darkened. It was overcast with dark clouds, implying an impending storm. Boom. A bolt of lightning cut through the clouds and lit up half the sky with a glaring silver-white light. The spectators, who were still immersed in the competition, got a rude shock. Conduction. Yi Jisin turned serious. He looked at Lei Junting and said, "Your disciple is crazy. For the championship, this is nothing," Lei Junting replied in disdain. The commentator's voice resounded in the dragon's den. "I hear thunder. How strange. There's rarely thunder in winter. Fortunately, we already have our winner. Wait, what am I seeing? Ren Qingtsang has stood up again. He has stood up again." The commentator's voice was filled with disbelief. It caught everyone's attention, and they shifted their gazes to the figure who was struggling to get up. How is that possible? How is he able to stand again after that attack? Everyone was dumbfounded. They started chatting with each other. They thought that the winner had been decided, but the situation took a sudden change. Could Ren Qingtsang continue fighting? Did he still have a chance? How stubborn. Wang Ting looked down at Ren Qingtsang in surprise. Then, he frowned and looked up at the sky. This lightning was a little abnormal. Boom. Another thick bolt of lightning split the sky into two as if affirming his thoughts. This time, it struck straight to the ground. Boom. To everyone's astonishment, the lightning struck Ren Qingtsang. What is this? Wang Ting squinted, a bad premonition rising in his heart. Ren Qingtsang definitely had something up his sleeve. Ren Qingtsang got struck by lightning? Everyone was bewildered. What kind of move was this? They were still waiting to see him turn the tides after he got up. Why did he suddenly get struck by lightning? Was heaven punishing him because he did something wrong? Was that why God sent a bolt of lightning to strike him to death so that he wouldn't become the champion? All kinds of wild thoughts appeared in people's minds. Boom. Boom. Lightning flashed, and thunder roared. Bolts of lightning lit up the sky. They linked with the bolt of lightning in the center that was connected to Ren Qingtsang. It looked like a massive tree with many branches. What a remarkable scene. Amidst the lightning, Ren Qingtsang raised his hands and flew into the clouds. His short hair was standing on their ends. Ha ha ha. Peals of laughter sounded clearer than the raging lightning. At the same time, a formidable force erupted from within the clouds. No matter how stupid the audience was, they understood that Ren Qingtsang didn't get struck by lightning, even though they didn't know how he did it. He conducted lightning to him so that he could use it. No one knew what to comment regarding this crazy move. He must be mad. Was he looking for death? No one could imagine that Ren Qingtsang would use this method to turn the tides. Wang Teng, you will never be able to beat me. Ren Qingkang's voice echoed in the clouds. He seemed to be staring at Wang Ting through the bolts of lightning. Stop your bullshit. Come on. Show me what you've got. Wang Teng replied indifferently. Death awaits you, yet you're still so stubborn. Ren Qingkang's expression turned ruthless. He gathered all the lightning on his right hand. Lightning dragon. The moment he finished his shout, all the bolts of lightning gathered and slowly turned into a giant lightning dragon. It bellowed and circled in the sky. Wang Teng's expression darkened. He could sense a tremendous threat from the gigantic lightning dragon. He used the power of nature, so this attack has exceeded his potential. This strike will probably be at the 8-star soldier level. I can only use that move. He didn't think that Ren Qingtsang would be willing to go this far. His gaze flickered as the gears in his mind spun furiously. In the end, he realized that he could only use the move he had been experimenting with. There might be no other way to block Ren Qingkang's advance. 1. Chapter 371, the first in his generation. The giant lightning dragon floated in the air. The rolling thunder turned into the roars of the dragons, deafening everyone's ears. The audience looked up at the sky in amazement. They would never forget this scene for their entire life. Wang Ting was staring at the dragon too. However, there wasn't any fear in his eyes. I have already come this far. Let's take the bet. I'll leave the rest to fate. Wang Ting smiled. Honestly, he was a maniac too. He closed his eyes. The images of his experiments appeared in his mind. Have you accepted your defeat? A mocking smile appeared at the edge of Ren Qingkang's lips. The scene was displayed on the big screen as well. Everyone felt puzzled. Did Wang Teng give up? Ren Qingkang's attack was indomitable, no doubt, but this was already the final step. How could he give up willingly without trying? The commentator said, borrowing strength from lightning, Ren Qingcang has formed a lightning dragon. The power of this move is astonishing. However, Wang Ting has closed his eyes. Has he given up out of despair, or does he have a surprise for all of us? Lin Chuhan grabbed Xu Wantong's hand, feeling extremely nervous. She held her breath and stared at Wang Teng without blinking. Suddenly, Wang Teng opened his eyes. Wing. One a low command came out of his mouth. In an instant, a gale swept up around him. It spun without stopping and blew high into the air. The fierce wind filled up the entire arena. Fire! Another shout was heard. Flames burned in the sky, swallowing the clouds around it and enveloping Wang Ting. His figure could no longer be seen. Only an endless fire tornado remained on the stage. It started from the ground and shot right up into the sky. But this still wasn't the end. Sword. Wang Teng's voice resounded in the tornado again. Clang. The sound of a sword being unsheathed rang out as the fire tornado paused for a second. Sword auras appeared immediately thereafter and merged into the tornado. The flaming tornado became more and more violent. It was getting unstable and looked as if it could collapse at any moment. But gradually, the flaming tornado and the sword aura reached a delicate balance. The sword auras spun in the tornado like a fish in the sea. Ren Qingkang's expression changed. He felt an unstoppable destructive power from the flaming tornado. Damn it! How did Wang Teng do it? He gritted his teeth and ran his lightning force throughout his body. As force completed one round after another, more lightning merged into the giant lightning dragon. Thunder roared and lightning raged. Bolts of lightning struck the lightning dragon continuously, making it bigger and crazier. Slash! The veins on Ren Qingkang's right hand bulged up. Cracks started to appear on his skin, and blood seeped out. He looked miserable. His face turned white as he clenched his right wrist with his left hand, forcing himself to continue. Lei Genting's expression finally changed. He shouted in anger, "Is he looking for death? His right hand will be crippled. Youngsters nowadays are crazy." Yi Jisin shook his head. However, I'm curious how Wang Ting is able to merge different attributes. He has created an unbelievable change. The impact and significance behind this move are terrifying. In the arena, Ren Qingcang couldn't stand it any longer. Lightning stopped entering the dragon, and its growth halted. With a solemn expression, Ren Qingcang raised his right hand with much difficulty and pointed at Wang Teng. Then, he moved his hand bit by bit. Go! Ren Qingcang bellowed in rage. His expression was hideous. Instantly, the gigantic lightning dragon spiraled and bore down on Wang Teng. On the other side, another word echoed from the flaming tornado. Blade. Suddenly, blade auras rose into the sky. Boom. The fiery tornado expanded immediately. Blade shadows tossed and turned inside as if out of control. Hes too reckless. Peng Yuanshan's expression underwent a change. He jumped out of his seat. Don't worry. Dan Taixian frowned and asked him to sit. Hes in the middle of the tornado. A slight mistake, and he will lose his life. Are you going to just sit and watch? Peng Yuanshan asked agitatedly. As his master, I choose to believe him. Dan Taixian stared at the tornado below without blinking. She had never been so serious before. Boom. The fire tornado spun frantically. Blade and sword shadows flickered inside it. This was a terrifying firestorm. It was a success. Wang Teng did it. Roar. The giant lightning dragon roared and charged towards him. Boom. The next instant, the giant lightning dragon smashed into the firestorm. However, before it had the time to wreak havoc, it was bound in place. It couldn't move a single inch. Roar. The giant dragon howled in agony. The sword and blade auras in the tornado were lacerating its body. No matter how hard it struggled, it was unable to break free. Boom. A few moments later, the scary lightning dragon exploded and shattered into bolts of lightning. It disappeared without a trace. The residual force of the firestorm swept the arena, taking everything with it. Ren Qingtsang was the first to bear the brunt. He suffered injuries all over his body and was thrown out by the impact. He slammed forcefully on the ground. Splurt. He vomited a mouth of blood, feeling bouts of weakness overwhelm him. The powerful aura around him receded quickly like a tide. The storm slowly dispersed. Wang Ting appeared in the sky. He was panting slightly, and his face was a little pale. He slowly landed on the ground. As he stepped on the floor, he stumbled uncontrollably. This move had exhausted too much of his strength. Even with his abundance of force, he couldn't support it for long. He looked at Ren Qingtsang not far away and heaved a sigh of relief. This time, he won for real. If Ren Qingtsang could still fight after receiving that attack, he would willingly admit defeat. Just as Wang Teng's thoughts ran wild, he noticed that his surroundings were extremely quiet. He raised his head and looked around him. Everyone was staring at him absent-mindedly. The first in his generation. The commentator's voice sounded abruptly. These are the only words I can think of now. Today, at this moment, Wang Teng is the first in his generation. He deserves to be the champion. Wang Teng, the champion. One. As the voice resounded in the venue, the spectators regained their senses. They stood up in unplanned unison and emptied the air in their lungs. Wang Ting, the champion. Wang Ting, the champion. Wang Ting, the champion. Thunderous applause filled up the venue. Cheers pierced through the walls of the dragon's den, attempting to shake the building to the ground. Everyone went crazy. They threw everything within their reach into the air, including their hats, clothes, and even their shoes. Han Zhu and the other students from Huanghai Military Academy hugged one another and jumped around, shouting and cheering along the way. This seemed to be the only way to vent the excitement in their hearts. Huanghai was the champion. No one would mock them any longer. Instead, they would only be jealous. Ji Xiuming from the First University, Luo Cheng from Capital Military Academy, Xiao Yunfan from Donghai University, Zhao Yuanwu from the Chenyuan sect, everyone was envious. This was the attractiveness of the number one title. The place was seething with enthusiasm. Thousands of people shouted the same name. It was a majestic and exhilarating scene. The audience gave applause and cheers to the young man in the middle of the stage. He was the first in his generation, second to none. Chapter 372, May Martial Arts Flourish. Dragon's Den. The national number one martial arts competition came to an end. The result was unexpected for everyone, though. Wang Ting entered the finals as a black horse and earned himself the title of the champion. Even more, this was a well-deserved number one, not a fluke. Looking at the past martial arts competitions, this year had the highest number of 6-star soldier-level martial warriors. There were 4 of them. Luo Cheng, Ji Xiuming, Ren Qingtsang, and Wang Ting. Most importantly, their realms weren't low at all. Even their battle ability was abnormally frightening for their levels. Normal martial warriors were nothing in front of them. That was even more so for the final match between Ren Qingtsang and Wang Teng. Their performances shocked the experienced and formidable warriors at the scene. So powerful. Their attacks had exceeded the limit of their realms. Ordinary 6-star soldier-level martial warriors wouldn't be able to execute such astonishing blows. The cheers and applause lasted for a long time before subsiding gradually. Wang Teng picked up the attribute bubbles Ren Qingtsang had dropped in the arena and walked down. Lightning Force *50 Lightning Force *45 Advanced Stage Lightning Talent *10 Lightning Force *63 Laytaying Physique *1 Wang Teng's eyes got brighter and brighter as the attribute bubbles merged into his body. What a great harvest! Force, talent, scriptures, all at once. He gained lightning talent and a skyrank skill scripture simultaneously. If Ren Qingtsang knew this, would he vomit blood in anger? Ha ha ha. Wang Teng didn't know about Ren Qingtsang, but he was delighted for sure. Mind you, he had been eyeing Ren Qingkang's lightning talent for a long time. Ever since the start of the competition, he had been yearning for it. He had finally achieved his wish. Lightning force attacks were extremely powerful. Wang Teng had experienced them personally during his battle with Ren Qingtsong. If not, based on his 7-star soldier level ability, beating Ren Qingtsong should have been a breeze for him. Yet, he was forced to execute a move he had no confidence in. One of the reasons was because Ren Qingtsong had made use of the power of nature. However, that played just a small role. The main reason was that the lightning force was too powerful. Fortunately, he succeeded in the end. He had executed the move successfully this time. With this experience, it would be easier for him to execute it in the future. This was a blessing in disguise. He also gained Ren Qingkang's advanced stage lightning talent, so he possessed another formidable offensive technique now. Once he raised the level of his talent, he wouldn't be afraid of Ren Qingtsong anymore. Wang Teng looked at the lightning force attribute on his attributes panel. Lightning force, 13500, 2-star, there was still a long way to go. He would need to find other ways to increase his lightning force. Should he get struck by lightning? Thinking of the pain, he shuddered in fear. He would have to slowly think this matter through. Wang Teng was deep in thought as he walked down the arena. Han Zhu and the other students quickly gathered around him. Han Zhu punched Wang Teng's chest and laughed. Amazing. You became the champion. Calm down, calm down. It's nothing, Wang Teng said with contempt. Han Zhu. You're boasting again. Wen Baiqiu couldn't help but roll her eyes at him. Yi Jisin smiled. Old Lei, your disciple still lost. Lei Zhenting shook off his exasperation. Sigh, Wang Teng is a monster. How did he manage to execute that formidable attack? Ren Qingkang's loss is justified. That's right. Wang Teng's attack was terrifying, Mr. Ma exclaimed. He probably invented the move himself, Lei Zhenting commented. Yes. I have never seen such a move before, Yi Jisin continued. The younger generation will surpass us old ones. Lei Zhenting sighed. On the other side, Peng Yuanshan and the heads were brimming with joy. They couldn't hide the happiness on their faces. Wang Teng has made a great contribution, Peng Yuanshan grinned from ear to ear. We even got the #1 title. We're the biggest winner. Tong Hu rubbed his hands excitedly. Look at you, it's just a championship. What's with the fuss? Dan Taixian said calmly. Everyone. Gloating. She was gloating blatantly. This was the championship title, not something you could pick up on the streets. Principal, you don't understand how hard life is. I have to squeeze resources for our martial arts students little by little from other areas. If not, with the number of students we have, many of them will have to suffer, Peng Yuanshan complained. Cough, is it so serious? Dan Taixian asked awkwardly. What do you think? Peng Yuanshan retorted. Ha ha ha, well, I've made my contribution. I groomed an amazing disciple who became the champion. Dan Taixian hoarded all the honor shamelessly. Yang Kang walked away silently. After that, it was the awards ceremony. Getting into the top 10 wasn't just an honor. It represented an abundance of rewards too. Resources were necessary for martial warriors. They were the reason why they fought with their lives. A good ranking meant a bigger slice for the factions they represented. At the same time, the participants would get a generous amount of rewards. The national #1 martial arts competition has ended. May the top 10 contestants come to the main platform. The Minister of Education will be giving out the awards, the commentator's voice sounded through the broadcast system. Everyone went up the stage to receive their reward one by one. Wang Teng's number was the last. He would only go up after everyone got their prizes. Ren Qingtsong came down the platform. He had suffered serious injuries in the battle with Wang Teng, so his face was pale. When he saw Wang Teng, his expression turned hideous. A malicious glint flashed past his eyes. Their gazes met in mid-air as Wang Teng walked past him indifferently. I will not lose to you again, Ren Qingtsong moved his lips and whispered. Try it. Wang Teng didn't even look at him. He walked straight up the stage. Ren Qingkang's face turned black. Normally, he was the one who disregarded others, but he tasted his own medicine today. It was a huge humiliation to him. Wang Ting stood on the stage. A refined-looking middle-aged man walked over. He was the Minister of Education. He smiled kindly at Wang Ting as someone behind him passed him a tray. He took it and handed it over to Wang Ting. Your performance was not bad. Continue to work hard and advance to the general stage as soon as you can. The Minister of Education patted Wang Ting's shoulder and said. One general stage. Everyone's expression changed when they heard this sentence. The Minister of Education had high hopes for Wang Ting. One, he didn't say this to Ji Xiuming or Ren Qingcang, yet he regarded Wang Ting with special attention. Thank you, Minister. Wang Ting took over the tray and replied. You can leave. The future is destined to be ruled by young people like you, the Minister of Education said. One after Wang Ting walked down the stage, the Minister of Education looked around him before opening his mouth again. His voice resounded in the entire venue. Everyone, the National No. 1 Martial Arts Competition has been concluded. However, life is endless, and so is the martial arts path. No matter what your ranking is, even if you don't have one, I hope that you will continue to aim for the peak and walk on this path. May martial arts flourish. He cupped his fists after he finished speaking. Everyone stood up immediately and cupped their fists. They shouted, May martial arts flourish. Chapter 373, Review of the Competition. Returned to Donghai after the National No. 1 Martial Arts Competition ended, the different factions left capital Xia one after the other. Wang Teng and the students took the plane and returned to Donghai under Peng Yuanshan's lead. On the plane, Wang Ting closed his eyes and rested. In his mind, he was counting the gains of this competition. The martial arts competition was a gathering for talented martial warriors, so he naturally got countless attribute bubbles. The most common bubble was the force attribute. His fire force had already reached the 7-star soldier level, but now, his metal, wood, water, and earth forces had also attained the 7-star soldier level. Metal force, 135 5000, 7-star, wood force, 362 5000, 7-star, water force, 285 5000, 7-star, fire force, 486 5000, 7-star, earth force, 96 5000, 7-star. These forces were more than halfway through the 6-star soldier level after he came back from the Xingwu continent. Using this martial arts competition, he pushed all of them into the 7-star soldier level. Many people thought that he was a 6-star soldier level martial warrior like Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang. However, he had already broken through to a new level and advanced far ahead of them. To think that Ren Qingcang still wanted to fight with Wang Teng. If they met in the future, he would understand the despair of not being able to catch up with him. Besides the breakthrough in his realm, Wang Teng's enlightenment and spirit had also increased. Enlightenment, Emperor Realm, 102-1000, Spirit, Emperor Realm, 188-1000. Why did he spare no effort in smashing his opponent's heads with his brick during the competition? He did it for enlightenment and spirit. Many years later, when certain people recalled this year's martial arts competition, they would probably remember the fear of being knocked by a brick. For instance, Xiao Yunfan, Maro Na, Zhao Yuanwu. Speaking of this, it was a little regrettable that he wasn't able to smash Ren Qingcang's and Ji Xiuming's heads. As gifted martial warriors, their enlightenment and spirit would probably be much higher. If he knocked them with his brick, he could pick up even more attributes. What a pity. He was too engrossed during his fight, so he forgot to grab the chance. If not, he would never let them run away. Honestly, many people wished to admire Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang getting slapped by the brick. That scene would be beautiful to behold. Especially the funny viewers in General Bai's live stream room. They waited for a long time, but the scene didn't happen. When the competition ended, they hit their chests in regret. If I get a chance, I'll do it in the future. Wang Ting promised himself. At the same time, Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang, who were in capital Xia, shivered. They felt a chill surging towards them from a land far away. During the competition, Wang Teng had also enlightened his flaming blade conscious and completed his idea of a sword blade firestorm. His flaming sword presence, metal sword presence, and wind presence increased in power too. This would assist him greatly in his enlightenment of their consciousness in the future. Wang Ting even received a fire element skyrank battle technique, Big Dipper flaming blade, and a lightning element skill scripture, Leitang physique. One was the ultimate battle technique of the Chenyuan sect, while the other was the famous scripture of Leitang martial house. Both of them were powerful battle techniques and scriptures that couldn't be bought in the market. But Wang Ting managed to get them secretly. It was a considerable gain. Next, in terms of talent, Wang Ting's greatest gain was the two advanced stage mutated element talents, the advanced stage ice talent and the advanced stage lightning talent. The cultivation speed for advanced stage talents was many times faster than intermediate stage talents. It was also more than 10 times faster than beginner stage talents. Ji Xiuming and Ren Qingcang were hailed as geniuses because of their talents. Their cultivation speed was faster than ordinary martial warriors, and they understood things much quicker too. With these two advanced stage talents, his cultivation of ice force and lightning force wouldn't be slow. Wang Ting also received advanced stage sword talent from Ji Xiuming. Ji Xiuming's sword skills were at the peak of his generation. Naturally, he would drop many sword skill attributes. Wang Ting had had a nice harvest when fighting with him. Wang Ting felt that his understanding of sword skills had climbed up a level. The instant he touched a sword, he would have the urge to wield it. All in all, this was a worthwhile trip. The championship title was secondary, his attribute gains were the most important thing. Of course, the reward for the champion was also generous. It included 30,000 yellow rank middle-class energy stones, 1 7-star battle sword, and 1 bottle of 5-star Dan medicine. Although these things were dispensable, for other martial warriors, they were expensive resources. Many hours later, the plane landed at Donghai Airport. Wang Ting and the others alighted the plane and prepared to go back to school. At the same time, Xiao Yunfan and the other students from Donghai University walked down from another airplane. They had left capital Xia around the same time as Wang Ting but took different planes. Huanghai Military Academy had a private plane, while Donghai University didn't have this privilege. Lin Chuhan and Tian Xiaoxiao were on this plane too. Xu Wantong's family lived in capital Xia, so she didn't come back to Donghai since it was the winter break. Only the two of them came. After they came down the airplane, Lin Chuhan beckoned her friend. "Quick, let's leave. What are you afraid of? Will Senior Xiao eat us?" Tian Xiaoxiao knew who Lin Chuhan was trying to avoid so frantically. She chuckled secretly. "You don't understand. It's irritating," Lin Chuhan replied helplessly. "You can bring out little brother Wang Ting. I promise Senior Xiao will not bother you again," Tian Xiaoxiao said. "Sigh, who am I to him?" The image of Wang Ting standing in the limelight during the competition floated into Lin Chuhan's mind involuntarily. She had always been confident and proud of herself, but she felt helpless now. "His girlfriend, of course," Tian Xiaoxiao said straightforwardly. "His girlfriend? Sigh, this is not the time to talk about that. Let's leave." Lin Chuhan pulled Tian Xiaoxiao and attempted to sprint away. However, reality always crushed one's wishes. At this moment, Xiao Yunfan's voice came from behind them. "Junior sister Lin." Lin Chuhan wanted to cover her face and pretend that she didn't hear anything. She pulled Tian Xiaoxiao and squeezed into the crowd. Before she could walk further, Xiao Yunfan and his friends had caught up with them. "Junior sister Lin, why are you running away? Are you going back to school? We have a car waiting outside. Why don't we go together?" Xiao Yunfan didn't know that Lin Chuhan was dodging him. He came forward with a smile. "It's all right. We're not going back to school. Since it's winter break, we're going back home," Lin Chuhan replied awkwardly. "No problem. I can ask the driver to send you guys home." Xiao Yunfan refused to give up. "We don't want to burden you." Lin Chuhan rejected his offer without any hesitation. "Lin Chuhan?" Someone called out to her from the left of the crowd. Xiao Yunfan's expression changed instantly. He was too familiar with this voice. Even till death, he would remember it. Chapter 374, You Look Like a Devil. While Xiao Yunfan was immersed in his bad memories, happiness flashed past Lin Chuhan's eyes. She turned her head. As expected, she saw a familiar figure walking over from afar. It was Wang Ting. Han Zhu and the other students from Huanghai Military Academy were close behind him. So I was right. I thought I made a mistake. Wang Ting was surprised when he saw Lin Chuhan. I went to Capital Xia to watch the competition. Lin Chuhan smiled and replied. Wang Ting nodded and continued, Are you going back? I'll give you a lift. Okay. Lin Chuhan nodded and agreed immediately. Let's go. Wang Ting turned around. Then, he pretended that he had just noticed Xiao Yunfan and exclaimed, Hey, I sent this senior Xiao from Donghai University. Why are you here? Looks like we are fated. Fated your head. This was a fatal fate. Xiao Yunfan felt his head spinning as he cursed in his heart. However, in front of Wang Ting, he could only laugh awkwardly and say, Ha ha ha, junior brother Wang Ting, we just came back from Capital Xia too. This is just a coincidence. I see. The competition has just ended. Senior Xiao should go back and rest properly. I'll not stay and chat with you. Wang Ting was straightforward. He was too lazy to bullshit with him. Haha, you're right. I should go back and rest, Xiao Yunfan replied awkwardly. Goodbye then. Wang Ting cupped his fists and bade farewell. Then, he brought Lin Chuhan and her friend away. After they left, Xiao Yunfan's expression gradually turned hideous. From Lin Chuhan's attitude, he knew that he had no chance at all. If it were others, he would persevere and fight for her. But it was Wang Ting. He had no confidence to snatch her from him, or rather, he didn't dare do it. Come on, that brat seemed easy to talk to, but he was brutal in his actions. He remembered Wang Ting's smile at that time clearly. He said that he would be gentle, but he had smashed the brick on him mercilessly as if he were a devil from hell. TCH, why's he so arrogant? Isn't it just a championship? Who knows how he will end up in the future? Lin Chuhan is our campus belle. Why should we give her to him? A student from Donghai University couldn't stand it and complained angrily. One Xiao Yunfan gave a bitter smile. Just a champion? How dare he say that? Xiao Yunfan glanced at the student beside him and shook his head slightly. This fellow was too naive. There were many important figures paying attention to the national #1 martial arts competition. Once someone became the champion, they would leave a lasting impression in their minds. This title had its value. Also, Huanghai Military Academy would place more importance on him after he won the competition. They would get him into the military in the future and might even lay out his path for him. Ordinary students like them had to mingle among the different factions for a few years before they had a chance to get a high status. If their circumstances were slightly better, they could enter an organization and progress from there. These two paths were incomparable. In terms of talent, there was nothing to compare either. Wang Ting had defeated all the younger generation talents in the country. He was the cream of the crop. Even the Minister of Education had high hopes for him and said that he could reach the general stage. What did the general stage represent? They were the most powerful bunch of people in this era. They had the highest status in society and enjoyed countless wealth and resources. The difference between them and the ordinary martial warriors was like the sky and the earth. Xiao Yunfan kept quiet, though. This student was speaking up for him. If he refuted, both parties would be unhappy. There were things he couldn't say. There were things you wouldn't understand purely through words. You would have to experience the society personally to understand them. In the car, Wang Ting asked Lin Chuhan, "Why were you with that fellow?" Before Lin Chuhan could reply, Tian Xiaoxiao interrupted her. "We met him on the plane. He kept pestering us. You should stay away from him. He isn't a good person," WN Baichio suddenly said. "Really? I think Senior Xiao is quite a nice guy." Tian Xiaoxiao felt a little unhappy at WN Baichio's words. Xiao Yunfan was their senior in university. If others talked bad about him in front of them, they wouldn't look good either. That's because you haven't seen his other side. WAN Baichio sneered. If you go to the Xingwu continent one day and work together with him, you will naturally understand how scheming he is. Tian Xiaoxiao hesitated when she noticed how firm Wen Baiqiu was in her opinion. Really? What will I get from lying to you? I just want to remind you. It's up to you whether you want to believe me or not. Naive ladies like you will suffer terribly in his hands. Wen Baiqiu ignored Tian Xiaoxiao after she finished this sentence. Just be careful, Wang Ting said. Lin Chuhan and Tian Xiaoxiao exchanged glances with each other. They nodded and didn't rebuke anymore. Wang Ting sent Lin Chuhan and Tian Xiaoxiao home. Lin Chuhan glanced at Wang Ting worriedly after she got out of the car. She explained, "There's nothing between Senior Xiao and me. I met him on the plane. He kept following me. You're afraid that he'll misunderstand you?" Wang Ting teased. "That's not what I mean. You can assume whatever you want." Lin Chuhan's ears turned red, and she ran away. Wang Ting smiled and shook his head. He went back to his car and drove back to school. "Junior Wang Ting, is that your girlfriend?" Wan Baiqiu winked at him. "How envious. You already have a girlfriend in the first year, a beautiful one too," Hanju lamented in a serious tone. "I didn't know you were like this," Wang Ting said. "Your senior is a man too," Hanju said helplessly. "Senior sister Wan is single. Why don't you consider her?" Wang Ting sniggered. "I'll rather be single than find a boring man like him." Wan Baiqiu snorted. "Hanju." Wang Ting burst out laughing. When they reached the university, Peng Yuanshan called them over. Peng Yuanshan and the other teachers had been waiting for some time. They went straight to the topic when they saw Wang Ting. "You brought glory to our school in this national #1 martial arts competition. I'll put this in your portfolio. The competition took up a lot of time, and the new year is almost here. Go back and accompany your families. Have a happy holiday. We can talk about the future arrangements after we come back." It's the new year. Comprehension finally dawned on Wang Ting. No wonder the streets seemed busier on his way back. Everyone was smiling. The students were eager to go home. They bade farewell to one another and left the school. Chapter 375, Dad, the era has changed after leaving school. Wang Ting called a taxi and went to Deer Garden. Wang Ting gazed out of the car window. Red lanterns were hanging at the side of the road. The auspicious color, red, could be seen everywhere. The pedestrians on the streets had joyful expressions on their faces, exuding peace and happiness all over. A smile crept up on Wang Ting's face as he looked at this scene. This was the reason why many martial warriors were willing to work silently behind the scene. This was a new era. But in every era, there were many people quietly pushing the time forward. Someone needed to carry the burden for society to remain peaceful. To ordinary civilians, battles and deaths were far from their reach. They couldn't see them, so they didn't know how dreadful they were. Many martial warriors would feel that their efforts had paid off when the civilians were able to live their lives properly and have an undisturbed new year. Wang Ting from Huanghai Military Academy is the champion of the national #1 martial arts competition. The driver was listening to the radio. He exclaimed, "The national #1 martial arts competition is a nationwide competition. Wang Ting has really brought honor to our city by taking the championship." Wang Ting touched his nose and smiled. "Mister, you pay attention to the national #1 martial arts competition too?" "Of course. Martial arts are getting more and more common, and even ordinary people like me know about them. I feel that martial arts are very important. That is why the government spent so much time and manpower to host this national #1 martial arts competition," the driver replied. "Mister, you're smart." Wang Ting was surprised. He gave him a thumbs up. "Ha ha ha, young man, you came out from Huanghai Military Academy. Are you a student there?" the driver asked. "Yes." "In that case, do you know Wang Ting?" the driver continued asking. "Yes. We are classmates," Wang Ting replied. "Wow, your classmate is so impressive. Quick, tell me more about him." Half an hour later, Wang Ting got off outside Deer Garden. Looking at the driver driving the cab away, He laughed and shook his head. He had chatted with the driver for a long time. The driver listened to him with interest and was extremely curious about martial arts. Young Master Wang. The guard immediately let Wang Ting through when he saw him. Thank you for your hard work. Wang Ting smiled as he greeted the guard. Then, he walked into the deer garden. It's not hard at all. The guards uncontrollably commented when they saw Wang Ting. I heard that young Master Wang was the champion of the national #1 martial arts competition. Impressive. That's right. He is a national champion. I heard that it's not easy to win the championship. I watched the live broadcast. Oh my God, that scene was amazing. He's so powerful. Mom, Embark. Wang Ting walked into the house and called out to his parents as he usually did. Little Ting is back. Li Xiaomei was elated. She walked out of the kitchen and wiped her hands on her apron. Then, she pulled Wang Ting and said, Come, let me see if you're injured. I'm not hurt. I'm fine. Wang Ting allowed Li Xiaomei to pull him around. That's great. Your father and I went to watch your competition. The matches were so intense. I almost had a heart attack, Li Xiaomei said with lingering fears. You went to capital Xia to watch the competition? Wang Ting was shocked. Your mom and I came back last night. Wang Shengguo walked out of the living room. Dad. Wang Ting greeted him. Then, he smiled at Li Xiaomei and said, It's nothing. Your son is so powerful. Who can even hurt me? You're still boasting, Li Xiaomei reprimanded him. However, she felt proud when she remembered that Wang Ting was the national champion. Wang Ting chuckled. All right, have some rest quickly. I'll go back to the kitchen. Li Xiaomei returned to continue cooking. Wang Shengguo and Wang Ting sat down in the living room. Where is Dudu? I didn't see her, Wang Ting asked. She's sleeping upstairs. Wang Shengguo smiled. He whispered, What's this national #1 martial arts competition for? Why did they showcase the competition to the public? As expected, a smart and experienced person like Wang Shengguo immediately noticed the crux of the problem. Wang Ting hesitated before replying slowly, Dad, the times have changed. Where is this era heading to? Wang Shengguo frowned. Don't worry. No matter where it's going, there will be someone clearing the path, Wang Ting said. What about you? Wang Shengguo asked. Me. Wang Ting thought for a moment before he grinned. One day, I'll possess the strength to protect everyone. All you have to do is to wait for your retirement. Wang Shengguo felt complicated as he looked at Wang Ting. His son had grown up. He could protect this family now. He should be happy. Many of his friends knew that his son was the champion of the national #1 martial arts competition. They were aware that he was a powerful martial warrior. After the competition ended, many of his business partners called him specially to congratulate him. Even the elite families who had belittled their Wang family in the past called him to chat and seek opportunities for cooperation. All these things made him proud. But whenever he remembered the frightening matches between the martial warriors, his heart would be filled with worry. Martial warriors were able to shatter rocks with their strength. The more powerful ones could even make use of the force of nature. It was a power that could turn the world upside down. Imagine the consequences of this attack landing on a person. However, what could he say? His son had already chosen the martial arts path and entered a top university. In the future, he would undoubtedly join the military. His future was bright. Was he supposed to stop his son? I don't know anything about martial arts. Your mom and I just hope that you will be safe. You're our only son. We're still waiting for you to take care of us when we're old, Wang Shengguo said. Don't worry. I'm scared of death too. I'll definitely be the one who lives the longest, Wang Ting said. Seriously. Wang Shengguo was caught between laughter and tears. Very soon, Li Xiaomei finished preparing the food. They sat around the dining table, and the atmosphere was harmonious. Dudu also got up, but she was still in a daze. She looked at Wang Ting and thought that she was dreaming. She rubbed her eyes and said, Am I dreaming? I dreamed that elder brother is back. Li Xiaomei and Wang Shengguo burst out laughing. Dudu, Pinch your cheeks. Is it painful? Dudu pinched her cheeks absent-mindedly. She screamed, ouch. Everyone laughed at her reaction. The meal ended in peals of laughter. At night, Wang Teng lay on the big bed in his bedroom. Gentle moonlight was filtering through the window, making everything look surreal. It seemed to be another world at home, a place far away from martial arts. He could hear the voices of his parents, the sound of the news broadcast on the television, and Duda's happy laughter. Everything seemed peaceful and tranquil. Wang Ting closed his eyes and slipped into the dreamland under the gentle moonlight. He would protect this peace. He wouldn't allow anyone to destroy it. 1. Chapter 376. Visiting before New Year. Wang Ting's body completely relaxed after he went back home, releasing all the stress he had accumulated. He slept until 9:30 am the next day. Li Xiaomei didn't wake him up, either. She felt that practicing martial arts in school must be very tiring, so he should rest properly at home. Besides, he rarely came home. At 9:30 am, Wang Ting woke up in his room. He glanced around him and took a moment before he regained his senses. He was at home. He shook his head and laughed. Then, he stretched his back and walked into the bathroom with a yawn. After freshening up, he went downstairs. When Li Xiaomei heard his footsteps, she walked out of the kitchen with a smile. "You're awake. Why don't you get some more rest?" "I can't sleep anymore. I got used to waking up early," Wang Ting said. "It's tiring to practice martial arts," Li Xiaomei lamented. "No pain, no gain." Wang Ting shook his head with a smile. Li Xiaomei took out his breakfast. There was congee, fried dough fritters, steamed buns, and many other dishes. Upon smelling the fragrance, Wang Ting immediately sat down and started stuffing his mouth with food. Delicious. It's just congee and fried dough fritters. What's so delicious about them? Li Xiaomei smiled sweetly. That's not right. How can outside food be compared to homemade food? Wang Ting stuffed a fried dough fritter in his mouth. His voice was muffled. "Today is the 24th of the 12th month in the lunar calendar. I'll cook more delicious food for your dinner," Li Xiaomei said. "It's the 24th already?" Wang Teng was startled. "What do you think? Time sure flies," Wang Teng exclaimed. Indeed. Half a year had gone by since he was reborn. However, Wang Teng felt as if a generation had passed. It was unreal. After breakfast, Wang Teng walked out of his house. He saw his spirit flame ghost crow, Little White, playing with Dudu in the courtyard. "You're back, caw." The moment Wang Teng appeared, Little White cawed at him. Recently, he let Little White loose and let it fend for itself. As long as it didn't fly too far away, it wouldn't be in any kind of danger. Also, if there was anything, Wang Teng would know it firsthand through the spiritual pet contact. It wouldn't be a problem. As its ability increased, Little White's size also followed suit. Dudu was now able to lay her small figure on its body. At the moment, Little White was flying Dudu up into the air on its back. The little girl laughed happily like a lark. Little White was smart. It knew how to ensure a child's safety, so Wang Teng wasn't worried. Dudu patted Little White's back when she saw Wang Ting. They landed on the ground, and she pounced on Wang Ting. "Brother, Little White is so fun." The girl was beaming with joy, her forehead covered with perspiration. This brat seemed to have gotten plump. Her cheeks were round and fat, making Wang Ting pinch them uncontrollably. "Have you been only eating and sleeping recently? You have gotten so much fatter," he asked with a smile. "Huh? No, I don't. I practice martial arts too. If you don't believe me, I'll show it to you." Dudu broke free from Wang Teng's arms and started practicing her radio exercise. She shouted every time she punched her fist. This was what Wang Ting had taught her before. To his surprise, she remembered it clearly. Her form was much more presentable now. A hint of astonishment flashed across Wang Ting's eyes. He helped her wipe the sweat off her forehead and said, all right, I believe you. I didn't know our Dudu was so talented." "You did great." "Really?" Dudu's big eyes lit up when she heard Wang Teng's compliment. She looked at him in anticipation, hoping to get recognized by him. Of course, Wang Teng smiled and said, "Brother, can you teach Dudu something more powerful?" Dudu asked hopefully. "Yes, but you still have to practice the radio exercise. You need to get proficient in it," Wang Teng replied. "Okay, I'll continue practicing until I'm very familiar with it." Dudu nodded her small head earnestly. "Good girl." Then, Wang Teng accompanied the little girl in her practice. Many things were a piece of cake for him now, but he still taught Dudu patiently and corrected her small mistakes. Wang Teng accompanied his family the entire day. The next morning, he greeted Li Xiaomei and prepared to leave in his car. "Son, where are you going?" Li Xiaomei walked out hurriedly. There was an ambiguous glimmer in her eyes as she stared at Wang Teng intently. I'm going to visit my classmate," Wang Teng replied casually. "You're going to visit Lin Chuhan, right?" Li Xiaomei gave a knowing expression. "How do you know?" Wang Teng touched his forehead. Sometimes, he admired how accurate his mother's sixth sense was. She was like a detective. "Tempage, do you think you can fool your mom?" "Wait." Li Xiaomei threw him a haughty look before rushing inside. "Mom, what are you doing?" Wang Ting called out behind her. However, he only saw Li Xiaomei's hasty back view. He didn't get a reply. He couldn't defy his mother's order, so he had no choice but to wait. 10 minutes later, Li Xiaomei came out with many bags in her hand. She opened the door of the passenger seat and stuffed the bags in the car. "What are these?" Wang Teng was puzzled. "These are gifts your dad received from others. We can't get enough of them, so bring them along." "You stupid brat, how can you visit other people empty-handed? If I were your future mother-in-law, I'd be furious," Li Xiaomei rebuked him. Wang Ting. Future mother-in-law? His mom had thought so far ahead. "Go on," Li Xiaomei urged him after placing the bags down and closing the door. Wang Ting touched his nose and drove the car away. At times like this, it was better to never refute your mother. It was useless. All his struggles would be futile. On his way to Lin Chuhan's house, Wang Teng glanced at the gifts on the passenger's seat and shook his head helplessly. Although he had lived 2 lives, this was his first experience in such affairs. Soon, he reached his destination and parked the car. Wang Teng lugged all the bags and headed to Lin Chuhan's house. On the way, her neighbors sized him up curiously. They seemed to be gossiping. Lin Chuhan's family owned a small convenience store. New Year was around the corner, so business was booming. Lin Chuhan was helping her mother out in the stall. Mother Lin had sharp eyes. The moment Wang Ting came close, she noticed him. She ignored her customer and welcomed Wang Teng immediately. "Wang Ting, you're here. Auntie, I came to visit you." Wang Ting smiled and passed the gifts to her. "There's no need to bring so many gifts. What a waste of money." Mother Lin kept blaming Wang Ting for wasting money, but she couldn't hide her smile. She pulled him into the house. "It's nothing. I brought them from home, so I didn't spend any money. It's the thought that counts, right? I forgot about this when I came out. My mum was the one who prepared this for me," Wang Teng replied. "Your mother knew that you were coming here?" Mother Lin was surprised. She has known for a long time. "After all, my father was the one who asked my headteacher to arrange Chuhan as my table buddy," Wang Teng smiled and replied. Chapter 377, Heal. Mother Lin heaved a sigh of relief. Wang Teng's parents knew of Lin Chuhan's existence and seemed to have a good impression of her. Her smile got wider. She knew that Wang Teng's family was wealthy, so she feared that his parents would look down on them. From the looks of it, though, his parents didn't discriminate against them. They wouldn't be an obstacle between the 2 youngsters. A mother knew her daughter the best. Mother Lin could tell that Lin Chuhan treated Wang Teng differently. Naturally, she hoped that they would have a good ending. Mother Lin pulled Wang Teng into the house and said to Lin Chuhan, "Chuhan, stop working. Wang Teng is here." "Why are you here?" Lin Chuhan bagged the customer's item and collected the money before she turned and spoke to Wang Teng. "Did you forget what I told you? Wang Teng asked. Lin Chuhan was stunned for a moment. Then, she remembered, and her eyes beamed with joy. You are here for Chuxia? What about Chuxia? Mother Lin asked curiously. Chuhan didn't tell you? Wang Ting asked in surprise. I didn't tell Mom. I was afraid that she would rejoice too soon, Lin Chuhan explained. She then said to Mother Lin, Mom, Wang Ting found a cure for Chuxia. Really? Mother Lin was startled, staring at Wang Ting in a daze. Yes. Wang Ting nodded. Mother Lin covered her mouth. Tears welled up in her eyes uncontrollably. Mom, why are you crying? This is a good thing, Lin Chuhan hurriedly consoled her. She went forward and hugged her mother. I'm happy. I'm not crying. I didn't cry. Mother Lin wiped her tears away. Let's go. We should give it a try, Wang Ting said. Okay. Mother Lin was excited. Suppressing the happiness in her heart, Lin Chuhan also nodded. She closed the shop and brought Wang Ting upstairs. By the time they arrived in front of Lin Chuxia's room, she had already heard the commotion. She looked at Wang Ting hopefully, asking with a nervous voice, Brother-in-law, did you really find a cure? Wang Ting smiled and nodded. He didn't say much and took out the lunar eclipse poison scripture directly. He gave it to Lin Chuxia. Take a look at this scripture. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me, Wang Ting said. Lunar eclipse poison scripture. Lin Chuxia was elated when she saw the name of the scripture. She immediately flipped the book open. This was her first time cultivating a force skill scripture. Naturally, there were many things she didn't understand. Wang Ting patiently answered all her queries. The entire process lasted for more than half an hour. Lin Chuxia finally digested the entire lunar eclipse poison scripture. Under Wang Ting's guidance, she sat down cross-legged. Lin Chuhan and Mother Lin got nervous. They seemed even tenser than Lin Chuxia. Don't be afraid. I'll be helping you at the side. If there's a problem, we'll deal with it in time, Wang Ting reassured her, noticing her apprehension. All right. Lin Chuxia nodded. She looked at the gentle smile on Wang Ting's face and felt at ease. After taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes. Based on the lunar eclipse poison scripture, she started guiding the poison force in her body, and her cultivation began. Lin Chuxia spent more than 10 minutes before she entered the cultivation state. Wang Ting placed one hand on her back to sense the movement of poison force. This was to prevent accidents from happening. Fortunately, Lin Chuxia was talented. Although her first cultivation session was a little slow, no accidents happened. The poison force in her body followed the route given by the scripture and circulated throughout her body before flowing into her force nucleus. Wang Ting secretly heaved a sigh of relief. This went smoother than expected. Lin Chuhan saw him removing his hand from Lin Chuxia's back. She asked nervously, "How is she?" "Don't worry. Everything is going smoothly," Wang Tang replied. "That's great." Lin Chuhan and Mother Lin sighed in relief. The three of them waited quietly at the side. Rather than staying idle, Wang Ting scanned the room. There were many attribute bubbles scattered here. Poison Force * 12 Demon Lotus Poison Body * 5 Poison Force * 15 Poison Force * 20 Demon Lotus Poison Body * 8 He picked them up. All the attribute bubbles merged into Wang Teng's body. His poison force increased tremendously, and his Demon Lotus Poison Body slowly took shape. Poison Force, 335 2000, 4-star, Demon Lotus Poison Body, 680 10,000. More than an hour later, Lin Chuhan suddenly exclaimed in a low voice, "Look at Chuxia's face." Wang Ting had already noticed the change in Lin Chuxia. The poison spots on her face were gradually shrinking, and her face was slowly returning to its original state. Mother Lin clasped Lin Chuhan's hand and held her breath. She was extremely nervous. She was afraid that her slightest action would interrupt Lin Chuxia's change. Time trickled by. Another hour passed. The poison spots on Lin Chuxia's face had disappeared entirely, revealing a beautiful face that looked slightly similar to Lin Chuhan's. It was smooth and round, with no traces of the ugly patches from earlier. Lin Chuxia took a deep breath and slowly opened her eyes. Chuxia. Mother Lin looked at her daughter emotionally, tears welling up in her eyes. Mom, sis, Lin Chuxia could notice something different from their expressions. However, she was still apprehensive. Lin Chuhan rushed out of the room and came back soon with a mirror. In the past, Lin Chuxia felt inferior because of her ugly appearance. Hence, there were no mirrors in her room. When Lin Chuhan handed her the mirror, Lin Chuxia didn't take it. She didn't even dare to look at it. Lin Chuhan nodded her head, giving her confidence. Lin Chuxia glanced at Wang Teng and Mother Lin, seeing encouragement in their expressions. She mustered up her courage and accepted the mirror to look at her reflection. The next instant, she saw a pretty and smooth face. Her eyes widened in astonishment. The pretty face stared back at her in disbelief too. Then, her expression changed again, and she looked elated. Her face kept changing, displaying her complex emotions. Lin Chuxia touched her face. Tears were flowing down her cheeks. The mother and daughters hugged one another. They laughed and cried as if venting their many years of suffering. Wang Ting walked out of the room slowly to give them some space. The moment he walked out, he saw a black figure flashing at the end of the corridor. Wang Ting hesitated, but he still walked over. He pushed the door and entered the room. He saw the dispirited middle-aged man again. It was Lin Chuhan's father. He was sitting in the wheelchair with beer bottles all around him. When Wang Ting walked in, he didn't raise his head. The room turned silent. Some moments later, a hoarse voice came from his mouth. "Thank you." Wang Ting didn't know what to say. In the end, he could only reply, "This is what I should do." Sometime later, Wang Ting walked out of the room. The three ladies had regained their composure and came out of Lin Chuxia's room. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.